And to me, it's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating because
Multiple mental health clinicians said that Derek had limited intellectual ability and was not capable of consenting.
Congratulations.
Boom. Right? Change soccer in America forever.
Hella bugs out here. Bro, I can't keep caressing my leg, boy. Trying to get freaky out here.
Your step siblings and also husband and wife.
I can't do any of that stuff.
That's right. Yeah, in fact, soccer can crawl up my asshole and die for all I care.
And that's what the kids do, but I'm a little older. I like that shirt tucked in.
Who the hell told you that would not be seen on television?
Anal sex is the process of inserting a penis into the anus of another partner.
Oh, shit. All right, we are stuck on 60. Oh, we were stuck on 69 for just a second. Right at the beginning. All right, welcome to Straight Red Card. We do have a new sponsor today. So today's show is brought to you by
there it is.
Juicy Seafood.
Like, waiting and waiting and waiting. I was like, come on, man.
We were talking about the word moist, and I was trying to think of the other word that makes me kind of go, ugh. And that's juicy. I mean, you want a juicy grape, I guess, but I don't want juicy seafood. That sounds gross. That's like body fluids are coming out of your crab or something. Just make it nice and plump and meaty. Would that be a good word? Meaty? I mean, what kind? You don't really like seafood, but you're not.
Like a juicy steak. I'm trying to think of how you describe it. It's like
I guess I
want something there.
I want a well-cooked steak.
We'll talk about those well-cooked steaks later. Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. People on X are still getting used to my vulgarity. I mean, I'm not really that vulgar. I just say like hairy balls. And
I was gonna say, man, if you stop talking about hairy balls, they'll stop calling you out.
I mean, they're calling me out, but I'm like, hey, dude, that's just me. That's what I do.
All right, let's not get too far off the topic here. We want to make sure we go through the ad read first.
Okay, the ad read.
Well, you said a sponsor, man. I figured we had an ad read for it.
There's nothing my girl likes more on a night out than visiting Juicy Seafood. Visit Juicy Seafood right here in Indianapolis. There are 3 different locations. The nearest being, if you're on the north side, Castleton. Juicy Seafood. Enjoy your juicy seafood. It wasn't in the ad read, but I guess it's kind of
threw it up there anyways. Why not?
It's weird. I don't want all my seafood juicy. I don't like a lot of things. I mean, that I like things that are juicy. I just don't like the word juicy.
I mean, you don't want like a dry piece of fish. Again, you'll want some juice, some flavor of some form in there.
Yeah, I guess so.
I wouldn't say I want a juicy fish by any means, but
it always reminds me of that spam.
Moist seafood was already taken.
It always reminds me of that spam text I got on my phone from that whatever. I live 3 miles from you. Why don't you come over and eat my juicy beep, pussycat all night? And I said, that's a lot of work. That sounds like a lot of work. No thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not all night. All night
long.
Jesus Christ. All right. The turn in the background says
all night long.
All night long. All night. All right. The turn in the background says, welcome to the Straight Red Card. The only soccer show that gives stepsister relationship advice. My wife's stepbrother joined my wife and the milkman in a threesome. I had the cuck chair. You have your own cuck chair. I think that's just considered to be the couch, right?
You get his nice little armrest so he can put his hands on, dude.
It's a love seat. It's the love seat cuck chair.
It's got to be comfortable, man. I'm just going to say, you have to make sure it's a comfortable chair.
Yeah. Hey, what'd you think about that Olympic ceremony? A lot of people worked up about that. I'm finding a hard time getting worked up about it.
I would just say substitute any other religion in for it and see what happens. I mean, people are going to get heated about it regardless. I mean, sure. Derek, I'm looking at you going like, Derek, you're not the most devout religious person I know.
No, I'm an agnostic.
So yeah, I understand why you don't feel that way. And I mean, I grew up raised Catholic my entire life. I haven't been to church in like the last 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't mean I don't necessarily possibly believe that there's not necessarily a higher being out there. I'm just more,
Well,
I guess, more atheist in that sense. But
no. You're an agnostic. That's what
sorry, I had them flip flop. Yeah, more agnostic in that sense. Yeah,
I'm an agnostic too. I mean, I believe there's very possibly could be. Who am I? Who do I know everything? I don't know everything. Am I all knowing? Hell no. So I can't say. Do I believe it's a white bearded guy in the sky? I mean, that seems a little weird, but whatever.
I like to think if my God was like forever and omniscient, omnipotent, whatever, all those things, that he'd be like rocking like a 6-pack, like nice flowing, like sort of like how Jesus is always portrayed.
So like a gay man's Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Of course.
Kind of ironic too. Yeah.
That's so odd. Since
you
are married to a woman, right?
I just couldn't fathom the concept of somebody who can be whatever they want to be, coming out with like a long beard, aged look to him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not going to debate anybody, but people are welcome to believe whatever they want. I mean, within reason, unless it requires animal sacrifice or children being killed. That's obviously not going to pass for me, but
yeah, this is kind of my take on it, quite frankly. It's hypocrisy because they wouldn't do it for any other religion. Could you imagine if they did it with Islam?
So here's the ignorant thing for me. I'm watching it.
Muslim, yes, whatever.
I didn't even think of the Last Supper. It didn't even occur to me. I thought it was like just one of those aisles for models. Last Supper never hit me. Just never did. I didn't think of it until I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, huh. Now that I think about it, was it weird? But isn't most art, and this was an artiste who put this together, by the way, right? They call them artistes in France. A lot of those people are kind of weird and they're kind of out there. So I'm just like, this is kind of out there. And then the blue guy who looked like a Smurf was Dionysus, apparently, which I didn't know Dionysus was purple. I didn't know that.
I just thought that was Papa Smurf.
I mean, Dionysus is sort of a gluttonous character. But so for me, I just went, well, I'm getting this explained to me because I had no idea what I was watching, especially with the Marie Antoinette holding her own severed head in her arms. It was some weird shit. Weird shit.
Boomer says no other religion has Jesus, though. Although I don't know what the context behind this is, but I'm pretty sure Jesus is a big part of the Quran. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, he's accepted by Muslims as one of the prophets, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he's considered, he's not Muhammad. Let's just put it that way in the Quran. So, all right, I just thought that was just
a weird tangent for this show. I mean, it's kind of not weird because it had to do with sports, I guess. But
well, I mean, it was all over X, so I had to bring it up, right?
Sure.
I mean, shit. All right, so for the 150 of you already in here early, which is really nice to see, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma and your stepsister, who I'm sure is sitting right next to you on the couch watching this on the show. You guys should be sharing beverages together and maybe a bowl of popcorn. All right, Jose Reyes for $5. Just saying hi, friends. Can't watch all night because I'm packing on a short timeline. Okay. Cheers, everyone.
Obviously.
He's going.
Catching a flight.
I hope it's that and not a gun. All right. Cheers, everyone. Much love to the best soccer show on the net. We love you, Jose.
I mean, I guess packing on a short timeline, that could be a euphemism for, going to blow your load early.
No, maybe? I think you're right the first time.
He's traveling somewhere.
He's traveling somewhere. Have a good trip, Jose.
Thanks, Jose. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. PT69. Yeah, nice. For $2. Derek, you ever been told you look like Karl Marx? No. That's really weird. I've gotten through my life, John Belushi, Robin Williams. That's about the joke guy with the new Joker when I'm skinnier. Joaquin Phoenix. I get that when I'm skinny. Yeah, I get a lot of stuff. But
so I see Joaquin and I see John. I don't necessarily see Robin Williams so much.
Well, I'm happy about that. I mean, he's not an ugly guy. He's just not the most attractive guy. Although we do share the hair issue. hairy issue.
Yeah.
Although he's even hairier than me, because look at my arms. They're not really that hairy, but his hair was just like, it was like a bear's hair.
What you don't realize, people, is that Derek shaves once a week, like just all over, just like the entire body.
No, I don't, because I'm not married and I don't have a girlfriend. I mean, I'm divorced, so I don't need to do that anymore. Did you guys catch Tax Stream on Sunday? I might have. I can't remember. Thanks, Jack, for $2. What did we miss?
Was this the comment they say something about Max that Colin brought to my attention?
Something's going on between Max and Filippo, and
it was brought to my attention that Pete in fact said some mean, offensive things towards Max.
Yeah,
I saw on Max's show that he had talked about how some people within the industry have said some things, blah blah, but he was trying to be, he didn't say anything about it. But guys, any beef between two other people, even if we like Max, we like Pete, we like Filippo, any beef between them is between them.
I don't even know what the beef is yet. I tried looking it up, I couldn't find it. I'm like, what's this beef you were alerting me to? And like, those guys met each other, all right, in Austin. They had dinner together. They've hung out together. I think there's not really a beef personally. It's not personal. I think it's about soccer, obviously. And they think that Max is compromised. And he is compromised. And Max admits he's compromised. He works for MLS. He's going to have to do a little MLS, MLS reach around.
Especially in his most recent video, he mentions how he does work for MLS at times, but he does call it as he sees it, in his opinion. So
I don't think so. I think there's no way you can call it like you see it if you work someplace. That's like me working at, let's say, all right, we'll use an example, 2 jobs ago, right? And I just call it like I see it. No, you can't do that. There's always a political lean. There's only so much you can say, or you're going to get fired.
So apparently the whole thing is about Max's comment about Mihailovic, and Pete made a comment apparently, and Max made a comment back, not on the show, but I think on a separate show. Again, I think if you get them both in the same room, they're going to be perfectly fine together. You guys have to realize that sometimes people, when they talk about certain things, they over embellish. They make things. Derek and I do it all the time. We talk about somebody like, oh, what a fucking moron, But the guy's not a moron, not Max or anything. Just in general, talking about a stupid post. Well, that was a stupid post. We're not thinking the guy's actually stupid, but we talk a specific way.
He might be stupid.
So we don't know that for certain yet.
I mean, he might. So whatever's between them is between them, and we'll figure out what that is. And what we usually do is we try to not fan the flames between those folks.
Well, we actually go out of our way to try to not fan the flame, like actually smooth things over.
Right.
From time to time. And the thing is, things don't need to get smoothed over. But I think they're all grown adults and they all have their opinions. They're not going to be they're not going to be best men at each other's weddings by any means, but who cares?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to make me think that Max Bretos is not a good man and a good person, because he is. He is those things. He's a good dude. We like him. Do we think his opinions are not swayed by his job? I mean, they are swayed by his job. There's just no way around it. And I don't know if he can't see that, but if he's claiming he doesn't care about that, I would say that's not true. Everybody likes to be employed, and you're not going to be critical of your employer. That's just how it works, unless you want to get fired. So I wouldn't expect any critical remarks about MLS or even a whole lot of MLS players from Max Bretos. It's just not going to happen. And has Jordy played crap? Yeah, he's been a passenger. Yeah, he has been a passenger for big chunks of the whole Olympic Games so far. And is he going to probably still start again? Yeah, he probably will, because his last name is Mihailovic, and the coach's last name is Mitrovic, and I think they're from the same region of Eastern Europe. And I don't know if that helps with their connection, but surely Mitrovic has seen what's going on the field.
What I think it probably more likely the case is that he was around Georgia as he became a professional player.
That's true too.
Through the bulk of his existence at Chicago.
Yes.
So that I think that's probably more. He knows it's that blind coach's approach to things. Like, I know this player, what he can do, what he can bring. It's going to bring that magical moment because I've seen him do it a number of times with the Chicago Youth and with the Chicago Fire at times.
Yes.
And then on to Montreal, but not necessarily at Aze, but now back at Chicago, now back at Colorado. Look at he's doing it there. So I think that's more along the lines of
it's what they call the comfort of familiarity, right? Yeah. The comfort of familiarity, and so that's what's going on there. Probably, I know we really do not need to see much more of Duncan McGuire. That I think has not worked very well at all.
Give me that false nine that we played at the end of that match all fucking tournament at this point.
Yeah, but Brett, that was because the other team was tired.
When they threw Yao out wide, we're already getting into the Olympic talk. When they threw Yao out wide and they put in Aronson at the false nine, everything just sort of clicked better. Like it just looked better.
Yep, it flowed better. Whereas Duncan, is he slacking out there? Hell no, man. He's running his nutsack off. But his first touches have been really egregious so far.
But he falls into the same crux that all nines did, especially in the Berhalter system, is that he's all over the place except for where he needs to be.
Yeah.
Never
true.
in the box.
No.
And again, that might not be on him because obviously he can score at the club level and all that shit, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. That might just be on the system itself, and he's checking back too far, going out wide at times, and he's just not in and around the box when the ball's coming in.
Right. And we'll get to more of this.
Yeah.
For all 210 of you here, make sure you like, subscribe, share with grandmother, and lean over and give your stepsister a kiss. All right. Let's move on because we might have to skip some of the fluff, dude.
And we'll see what happens, Derek.
We're already 20 minutes in here.
So Derek, we already kind of brought it up.
Okay.
But we'll bring this up in just a second here. You make anything special today or this weekend? For food wise, eating the munchies?
This weekend, I made my parents went over there and made them dinner, and I made them fish and chips and blarney balls. And so I actually
you're on that kick, aren't you, man?
Yeah, I made like this. I think I might have described it before. This what do they call it? Long John Silver's copy batter, but better. And they loved it. It was great with cod. We used cod. It was good.
Unlike Long John Silver's, you used real fish.
I think Long John Silver's uses real fish too. Yeah, but it works on chicken breasts too. You can use the same thing. But it worked out well. Use the fryer and all that. The blarney balls are basically potato. They're encrusted potato balls with cheddar cheese and spices. It's delicious shit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go over there and cook for my parents, I like to bring something they haven't had, and they hadn't had that, so they liked it a lot. All right.
Tonight I made myself a nice little steak stir fry.
No shit.
Yeah, I made a piece of round that I bought sometime last week that I had to use up because I was going to use it for a roast, but then I ended up buying a nice roast.
Right.
And I'm like, well, shit. Well, here's what I did. I ended up I took my cast iron Dutch oven, threw it in there with some olive oil for a few minutes and flipped it for a few minutes. Of course, I seasoned it properly.
Sure.
Salt, pepper, garlic.
Yep.
Stuck it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 minutes. Pulled it out, nice medium rare, and then I immediately let it sit for about an hour, and then I put it right into the fridge.
You're like the Guga of fucking soccer here.
Yeah. Pulled it back out today, chopped up a quarter of it, made a nice little vegetable stir fry, threw that in with it. The soy sauce done. Perfect.
Little rice?
Nope, don't need rice.
No noodles?
No noodles.
Just fucking stir fry.
Just stir fry.
It's badass. It's the way it can be done. Yep.
But I'll tell you one thing. After cooking my steak the way I did, even after putting it in with the stir fry and everything, my steak did not and will never look like this.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is and why anybody would post that.
Fuck. It looks more like a roast than an actual steak, though.
I bet you that's barely edible. Yeah. Tony Martinez asks, Derek, panko breading for the fish. Not for the fish, but for the Blarney balls. Definitely on the outside of the Blarney balls.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, let's say you were at somebody's house where you made this, Derek. Who's going to eat this?
I'm not eating that. That's
You're not
overcooked. That looks like little pieces of bark. That's what that looks like.
Jack just said it's fucking tan bark.
Yeah, that's just bark. He went out in the yard and grabbed some bark and threw it on a plate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he literally fucking cooked the shit out of this.
It's funny. I know I've mentioned this before, but I mean, when I worked at Navient for a year and a half, and you had this wide variety of people, like everybody under the sun, all different races, colors, everything.
Yeah,
I had to ask how they cook their steak. Everybody. And I'll flat out tell you, 99% of the people, 99% of white people said medium rare.
Right.
So the only way to cook it, medium rare.
Yep.
Everybody else was like, well done.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I think we talked about this because I was talking about back in the day, because obviously you're now, of course, things may be changing now. Of course, I've seen a number of people. No.
Yeah, we're not stereotyping. It's not everybody.
Back in the day. Sorry, BMR just said, "You're the enemy, Brett." Yeah, no, I got plenty of phone calls. Hey, I was a good guy. I was a good guy that helped everyone out. But obviously, you get all your cooking habits from your parents, from their parents, et cetera, like that. And you may change as things go and everything like that.
Right.
But they talked about how like the meat, especially during the Great Depression era, that the poor and especially the people of color portions of the cities and stuff would get this like rancid type of meat that you'd have to make sure that you cooked thoroughly so there's no parasites and anything like that.
That makes sense.
So you'd slow cook it, but you'd cook it thoroughly all the way through.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just.
But through the Great Depression, wouldn't everybody be doing that?
Yes.
I mean, so I don't know if that's necessarily the rational answer. I will say this.
I'm saying it gets passed out over generation after generation. After the Great Depression, things changed.
People didn't really used to eat liver prior to the Great Depression. That was the scraps you kept for the dogs, right? Your dogs or whatever, the family pet. But during the Great Depression, people started eating chicken livers, beef livers, heart, you name it, all kinds of shit. So
yeah.
All right.
You mentioned give it to dogs. I mean, I feel like stuff like this. Would you give this to your dog?
I mean, the dogs don't care; they'll eat it.
Yeah. Here's a dog that doesn't mind. Look at that guy. He got plenty of steak, man.
Jesus Christ, that dog is so muscular. That's like
I saw this and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make myself feel better about myself and assume this dog takes steroids. Has to be
certain breeds, dude.
Good Lord, I mean that dog's doing P90X.
My brother has a pit bull that's built like a goddamn bodybuilder too. I think that's just in the breed. Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he's about to fuck somebody up. I would look at that. I don't care how nice that dog is. I'd be scared as shit.
And like if raised properly, they're some of the nicest dogs in the world. So this whole thing about
pits? You talking about pits?
Just pits, yeah.
100%, yes.
It's all how you raise dogs. You can create any dog into a beast, a nasty animal.
If you treat it, are vicious as fuck, man.
If you treat it horribly enough, it will be a horrible dog. But if you train it properly, it will be a good dog. All right.
That dog must have baby nuts.
We can't really see his. It could be a chick too, by the way.
That's a good point, man. But
yeah.
Lamar says Brett is a pussy and scared of pugs.
I don't think that's a pug, Lamar.
That's a hell of a pug if that's the case.
That's definitely a pug on steroids. If so, all right. What else we got?
Derek, would you ever, in a million years, allow your friends? Let's just say, would you allow me to pick out your tattoo without you knowing about it?
First of all, I'm not getting a tattoo.
Let's assume you get a tattoo.
No, I would not let you pick it out.
You wouldn't let me pick it out?
No, I wouldn't let myself pick one out, but I'm not going to let you pick one out.
God, I could only imagine what I'd pick for you.
Oh, I can imagine. I'd have like a big penis on my arm or something.
Oh man, so All right, so this is obviously it's on MTV, but I don't know where it could be in Britain or it could be anywhere like this. But I feel like the person watching this is from Britain. But anyways, let's watch this a second. They don't look. They look a little scared. What's going to happen here?
I would be scared. It's permanent. What? What is it?
Oh, fucking hell.
That's pretty mean. That's pretty mean. All right, we're just going to get a strike for that probably because it looks
no chance.
Looks like too much like a real dude bending over. That's why you don't get tattoos, because they don't come off. I mean, I guess you could probably just ink that off somehow. I know there's tattoo removal nowadays, but
sure.
So you can do that. King Kello says for $9.99. Thank you, my brother. Players that need to lose weight before September, August camp. McKenny, the brother needs Ozempic. Oh my God. Richards looks a little chubby. Richards?
Dude, did you see Richards' assist in the preseason?
Yeah.
I tagged you on it.
Yeah, no, I saw it. It's nice.
Where was that? Where was that all during the Berhalter era?
I don't know. But
he lays those 40-yard, 50-yard bombs to get assists, but he can't do a fucking 10-yard pass for the U.S. men's national team? What?
Yeah, it's freaking weird. CCV looks like a bodybuilder, so he needs to, trim down? Musa, chubby face popping up. Okay, I didn't notice most of those. I did notice McKenny.
McKenny's the one that stands out for me. I mean, outside CCV looks always been stocky built, but he's a center back. Who cares?
Who's the Brazilian kid who just went to Real Madrid? Just signed for Real Madrid. 17-year-old young kid. Help me out here, folks. Anyhow, they had him.
This one, man. I'm not gonna help you out.
They had video of his signing and his Endrick. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
And he looked a little chubster too, so he might need to lose a few pounds as well. Thank you, Jeff Petitwell. My brain sucks, guys.
It was Mr. Pineda.
Oh, it's Jack.
Jeff came in just seconds later.
Jack and Jeff sitting in a tree.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
KISSING. All right. What else we got?
You've gone out and you've tried to make some of these bad dubbed videos for like the short ones too.
Yeah,
but they're fun. They're fun to do if you can really make it work. But to your point, you made this earlier, and made this not earlier, but when you were making them, it's a lot of work to try to make sure that it actually syncs up nicely and it looks like they're trying to say that.
Right, bad lip syncing. So
yeah, I've got a VAR check. It looks like a game between France and the Dutch.
Okay.
And
God forbid you say Holland.
I know. The Dutch. Sorry. There's two things I hate: people who are intolerant about other people's culture, and the Dutch.
The Dutch.
All right.
Nederlanders, what we call them.
Right now, we think Dumfries is offside and he might be blocking the goalkeeper. Our decision will take a while because we're also ordering dinner. We are thinking about the ravioli.
Wait. It's okay. Okay, so they're going to check the goal, but it might take a few minutes because first they have to order dinner.
But why are they ordering dinner now?
Just wait.
What? Hey, they can eat before the match.
Why?
We got football.
It's football.
Wait. Hold on.
Hey.
Okay, it's a difficult decision. We are checking right now if the ravioli is gluten-free.
So I'm curious why there's a laugh track behind this.
I think it was played on a show, probably more than likely.
That's fair.
Yeah, so. I have seen this, but it was like a month ago, though, Brett.
Yeah.
It's not gluten-free. We might try something else.
Gluten-free?
Okay, come here.
You do a pretty damn good job.
So,
yeah.
Listen, they're not sure about the ravioli, so they're checking the menu for other options.
They should check the goal.
Yes, I understand, but first they have to check if it's gluten-free or not.
The goal.
The ravioli.
They should try the coq au vin.
The captain of France is suggesting coq au vin.
Coq au vin, interesting because we have confirmation the ravioli is not gluten-free.
Are we doing it? The coq au vin with the Riesling? Ravioli! Ravioli!
Okay, they checked. Ravioli is not gluten-free, so they're going for coq au vin.
Okay. Yeah. You know what coq au vin is, right?
No, I have no idea what that is.
So the first word in the name of it is C-O-Q, coq, which is chicken in French, right? And vin, V-I-N, is wine. Short for vino. So, yeah, it's basically chicken and wine, cooked in wine, sauteed in wine. Anyhow, okay. Good stuff. All right. Cock with wine, as Jeff Pettibone says. Cock with wine. Oh, Timmy, my old buddy.
I mean, I haven't seen Larry. I don't think I've seen Larry in the chat yet, but he'll appreciate the fact that we're doing a Timmy Chandler segment here.
We love Larry, but it's probably for the better. He's not here. All right.
So here's Timmy, and he's giving 5 blind ratings for U.S. men's national team players.
Okay.
First up, John Brooks.
3.
Weston McKennie.
2.
Jermaine Jones.
Ooh, I have to put him on 4.
Christian Pulisic.
I have to put him on 5 because I know what's the last name.
Number 1 is Timothy Chandler.
That's why I knew it. So I put Timothy Chandler on the 1.
He's seen enough of these to know.
Yeah, he does. He's good.
That's why he's like Jermaine Jones, and he goes, ooh.
He's actually in the United States right now on tour.
Yeah.
Where were they? Louisville City. They had a friendly against Louisville City. So, I don't know if we're going to see. I mean, they had him out there for the press conferences with the coach because he's probably one of the most fluent speakers of English on the team.
He's improved, huh? He's improved over.
Oh yeah. No, he has really improved a lot since that early interview my mom did with him and Brian Schroeder years and years ago. Like where he was so uncomfortable speaking English, they had to do the interview in German. And actually, he was on short notice because Brian freaked out. He couldn't get a translator.
Yeah,
which is why he called me. He's like, dude, I just got an email from his agent. The interview's tomorrow, and I don't have anyone who's going to translate. Can you translate? I'm like, me? Hell no. My mom, yes. But me? No, I will get shit wrong. So no, I will get 80% of it right and 20% of it absolutely incorrect. So anyhow.
Yeah. All right. We are officially out of our soccer fluff segment, and we're branching off into actual topics.
Johnny Soccer says, who's Timmy Chandler? Oh my God!
Yeah, you don't know how young Johnny Soccer might be.
If he's really young, he's not going to know who Timmy Chandler is. By the way, Timmy Chandler played with us, about a decade ago? Played for the United States men's national team.
2010 or 2011 through 13-14 range,
right?
Give or take, periodically when he can make the flight.
Yes, when he can stand flying, which he hates, by the way. That was told to us in private. I don't think it really matters if we say it in public. And I've already said it in public years ago.
You said it a number of times beforehand. It doesn't really matter.
He has a fear of flying. Yep.
I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like the great song "Ironic" by Alanis Morissette.
There's nothing ironic about that.
You fear flying. You take your first flight, and it goes down in flames. Isn't that ironic?
Is that part of the lyrics?
Well, not like that. I paraphrased, of course. Okay. He talks about he's a fear of flying, and he kissed his wife and his kids goodbye. And as the plane crashes down, he goes, "Well, isn't this nice? Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Don't you think? Isn't it ironic?" Yeah, there's no irony in that whole song. That's the crazy part.
Isn't it coincidental?
And maybe that's the ironic thing about it. There's no irony in the song, yet the song is named Ironic, right? King Kalo says for $4.99, Derek and Brett, does any soccer journalist ever threaten you guys? Like, if I caught y'all, am going to finger you both. Ooh, gross. I don't want to be fingered. Not by some journalist I barely know.
It was a good time.
Oh boy, GG's doing the same to Crocker. I've never been threatened by another journalist. Nope. No, I've been threatened with you're not going to have any access anymore, but that was so many years ago. It doesn't really matter. And when we restarted the show 3 years ago, we didn't care about having access because we still had all our connections and our friends who were still doing journalism. So we didn't need all those because we could just ask them and they give us what we need generally, as far as like most of the time. Now, nobody's getting anything about the new head coach, by the way. Who's that going to be? No one's getting dick. No one. So whatever they're doing, it's been locked down for weeks now at U.S. Soccer. There are no leakers. There are people who are telling people we know that they're shooting for the stars, and that's as good as we're getting right now. And they won't tell us who those stars are.
Crocker said that publicly as well, so he could be like, they could have simply said like, "Oh yeah, he's not bullshitting, guys."
No,
that's
I
not all you're gonna get.
But Crocker didn't say Dolo ain't it, right?
Yeah.
We had to get that later after what's his dick leaked that. Doug McIntyre didn't leak it. He basically just spewed it out there to the world that Dolo is the best candidate for the job, which was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we've already handled that topic so many times, we don't need to touch it anymore. Jack Pineda for $5. Thank you, Jack. Did you guys see the most recent Tack and Pete moment where someone made an interesting comment? It is on hour one and second one. I have not. What kind of comment did they make, Jack? Do we need to look this up, Brett? Was it on Tack's show or Pete's show? Because they're on different channels. They're on different channels, right? On YouTube. So let us know which one it is, and maybe we'll pull it up and take a peek. Because you paid $5, we might as well.
I'm just pulling up and taking a look. There's a segment where Tack
It was
talks about the
it was
show's-
Tack's show, apparently Tack's.
All right, let's
This is the most recent. You're sure of that, Jack? Is it live or a video?
1 hour, 1 minute long. They don't make long videos.
Yep. All right. Well, let's see what this is. Hopefully, it's
Hold
not
on 1 second. Let's see.
1 hour and 1 second.
1 hour and 1 second.
That's what he says.
Oh, okay.
Hour one and second one. Hopefully, they're not busting on me being old again.
His favorite song is Barbara.
Here we go. Jack Pineda says for $1.99. Remember, guys, stepsister relationships are okay.
All right. Did they read that?
Romanity. That's one of Larry's silly songs.
And Jack Pineda saying, remember, guys, stepsister relationships are okay. Who said that?
Dude, it's from Straight Red. It's a Straight Red joke because they literally give stepsister dating advice on their channel.
Okay, hey, they can.
What they're saying is technically it's legal if you're not related by blood, which is true. It is legal. It's weird. It also depends when, in my opinion, sure, do whatever you want. But it depends when you became, like, if you were 4 and she became your stepsister, to me, that's your sister. That's your sister. If your parents got divorced when you were 30 and your mom is dating a new guy who has a 28-year-old daughter, yeah, technically she's your stepsister, but you didn't grow up together, so it's very different. So I think it just depends.
But I mean, probably avoid it.
I don't think it's a good idea, but like if you two find true love, I'm not going to judge
Sweet
you.
Home Alabama.
Isn't that something that hasn't that show Sex Education on Netflix?
Wait, what?
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's a show
Let's get back
named
to
Sex
soccer.
Education on Netflix. It's a comedy show.
Oh, yeah.
We are corrupting them.
That's good. I've never heard them get that deep into that. All right. Well, that's good. Thanks, Jack. Thank you for corrupting them and spreading the good word, brother.
The good word.
The good word. Oh, by the way, all 270 of you in here right now, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma. Whether you're on Twitter or X, and or YouTube. We appreciate it.
So we just went over the super chat, and he talks about how Greg is doing the same to Crocker. It's a fun transition into our next topic.
Well, when he says Greg's did that to Crocker, what does he mean?
Threatening to finger him, I guess. I don't know. If I catch you around, I'm gonna
finger fuck your asshole until it bleeds.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the way I take it. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So, good. good friend and listener of the show, Chambers, says Berhalter is going to have to rebuild his reputation. Will likely be MLS, but his name is in the mud. Which I don't disagree with him.
I agree with that's true.
Yeah,
but this is taken out of context. This clip.
Well, let's for those who haven't seen this clip, let's listen to the clip itself.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard any links at all between Greg Berhalter, any clubs in Europe, knowing what you know? What are his future career possibilities, Fab?
I will be completely honest with you. Zero links.
Have you?
So that's the clip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds pretty damning. You have Fabrizio saying there are no links for him at all in Europe.
Yeah. No, that's not really true. That's not the actual context, full statement context.
It could be true, but he does have a longer explanation for it all.
I think it's true. Okay, that there's nobody in Europe interested in him. I honestly think that. But what Fabrizio goes on to say is a little Disneyland shit. Like if there is a club in Europe somewhere interested in Greg, it's like in Denmark or Sweden or Finland or Poland or like something like that. Like a second division Dutch team or the worst Dutch team in Division 1 or something like that, right? Because he does speak Dutch. But Dutch. Anyhow, point being, Fabrizio actually here at 4:58 gives you the full explanation of what he's saying here. Close enough.
What you know. What are his future career possibilities, Fab?
I will be completely honest with you. Zero links. And I don't want to be offensive, but I think also the timing was unfortunate. You know, this summer, many clubs already had their manager already sorted in end of May, beginning of June. So
first off, he expands on that by saying it's all about the timing of that situation. Most clubs have already moved on to a new coach, and there won't be as many vacancies available in Europe.
Right now, no, there won't be. Hey, there's one at Strasbourg. Have they replaced Vieira yet?
That's true. Well, wouldn't that be interesting if they just flip-flop jobs, huh?
Yeah, that would be great.
Suck for who's going there? Wiley and potentially Gaga?
There was no way they're signing him at Strasbourg.
No,
There's
I know.
No way. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So there were no real opportunities when the decision was to part ways with the US. So I think this was a matter of timing. This summer was really unfortunate, but in the future could be in Europe. His desire is to return to Europe for sure. So he will be considering opportunities over here. Let's see, because at the moment, again, all the clubs already have their manager. There are also no danger situation at the moment for any coaches. You know, sometimes happens in July after the preseason. There could be some tense situation, but at the moment, it's still everything under control. So it's all quiet, but let's see in the next months.
Fab, no.
Someone said, send him to Bordeaux. In the comments. I missed it. It flew by too quickly, but that's hilarious. Now, I mean, there were the rumors of Club America, right, before. I'm not sure how much I believe that. I'm having a hard time. That's not just his agent spewing out some shit while he's negotiating, maybe come back to the U.S. men's national team. I don't know. I really don't know. Don't send him to Fulham, Alex Caven. Okay? He says, what? Derek, I see your club Fulham buying Smith Rowe from Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, we got to replace the big guy we just lost, right? In the middle of the park. I don't know if that's the solution, but we got some fixing to do at Fulham. We're losing one of our best players. So, but nobody cares about Fulham on this show, so we'll move on. Except for me, of course. I do.
Or Derek, we're going to go from that transition of as far as nobody cares about Fulham on the show. We're going to talk about a team nobody else cares about on the show, except for me, apparently.
What's that?
It's Chicago.
Chicago Fire?
Yeah.
We're going to lose like 30 people.
That's fine.
During this coverage.
We could trim some fat off the show, Derek. Come on.
Jesus
you know as much.
The Fire.
This is quick. This is a quick thing.
The Fire would prefer to play on grass, so if a new Bear Stadium includes artificial turf, which it probably will, that would be an immediate catalyst for the team to look at a new home. If that were to happen, though, Mansueto doesn't see heading to Springfield for financial help. If we're going to build a stadium, we will privately finance. I'm not comfortable taking public money. Wow, you hear that very rarely.
Very rarely, yeah.
They are a big expense, costly to maintain and sit empty most of the time. Okay, we don't need to go through the budgets and all that other horse shit. But the point being, they're going to build a new stadium, right?
Well, I guess it really all depends on what's happening with the Bears, which, like you said, most likely will be.
I mean, with the winters the way they are in Chicago, and if it's going to be an indoor stadium, it'll more than likely be artificial grass if it's indoor, with a closable roof and all that shit like they have in Indy.
They're smart. They would do that. Yeah, Chicago should definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to grow grass. To have artificial turf because you don't have to take care of it like constantly. Like grass, you need a specialist to make sure that shit's grown properly. It's more expensive to have a real grass field. Now, not up front, grass is cheaper. Grass seeds are way cheaper. However, long-term, artificial turf seems to be cheaper because it'll last for 10 years. Lou Coutry. Hey, Lou. Hope you're well, man. Toast, brother. Isn't there a soccer-specific stadium in Chicago already?
Yeah. Seagate.
Who?
Down in Bridgeview, where the Fire used to play.
Oh.
Good friend of Indy 11's, Peter Wilt, was the one who spearheaded that. Mind you, of course, he was locked in, unfortunately, and had to go with that. We talked about that. I think when we had Peter on the show long while ago.
Yeah.
I think he talked about that specific decision and everything like that. But it's still sitting there, and they still use it. They used it for the U.S. Open Cup matches, which all of but 100 people showed up for. And actually, it's like most of the audience when Indy 11 was there were Indy traveling fans.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll get into that topic before too long.
Turf is an injury trap, says Wizard Dragon. It is. I'm glad I never had to play on turf. I have played on turf, but it was a practice, so it didn't matter. I wasn't going to bust an ankle on that probably during a practice where we're just running around, kicking around cones and shit. But, yeah, I've caught footballs on artificial turf at West Point at Mikey Stadium. And, I made a diving catch, and I landed on the ground, and I had those little purple things on both of my knees and my elbow. Like, it just ripped me to shreds. And it's like this. Back then, in the 80s, it was like the thinnest layer of carpet over cement. So it actually hurt, too, because it was hard as fucking rock when you hit it. It's crazy.
When I was a kid, we played indoor and stuff like that, and they had the artificial turf on there, obviously, because it's indoor.
Right. No, I've done that, too.
That literally was concrete with about a millimeter of sandpaper grass.
It's almost like felt. I don't know how to describe it, the indoor soccer.
Nice amount
it's
of strawberries.
It's
all
like
up and down your leg.
Would you describe it as felt?
Really, I think sandpaper is probably it was like felt. No, because it was thick. It was at least a little. It looked kind of attempted to look like grass, but it was so like hard and sharp that if you hit the ground, you're scraping your leg right off.
Yeah, no, it wasn't as bad. The one I played on SC Muka in Muka is German for mosquito. When I was in Fort Knox, that was a Louisville winter indoor team, and back then, I swear to God, it was just like this very thin layer of what felt like felt, like something you'd have on a pool table. That's what it felt like to me. And that was all the way back in the 80s, people. So I'm sure it's changed since then. All right, what else we got, Brett?
We had talked about Chicago having an already constructed soccer-specific stadium, and I mentioned how Chicago Fire were using that for their U.S. Open Cup matches, and that there weren't too many fans there. And during the Indy 11, how most of the fans that looked like were Indy 11 fans.
Yeah,
that kind of takes us right into our next topic, which is the why feeling guilty supporting Leagues Cup, or feeling guilty attending a Leagues Cup match when you want to boycott it because of the U.S. Open Cup. That's what this whole topic with Alexi started off as.
Yeah.
New England Revs fan was basically like, hey, I paraphrasing, of course, but he's like, I want to boycott. Or I can pull it up real quick just to get the actual phrase here.
Well, it's just the background is people like Pete and Fipo have said, let's boycott, and others, many others, let's boycott the Leagues Cup because of what they did to the U.S. Open Cup. And I don't think we said that on our show.
I wouldn't say boycott by any means, but we tear apart MLS for their stupid decisions all the time.
Oh yeah, because the whole U.S. Open decision was absolutely disingenuous. It was false. It was a lie. They could have easily done both. But regardless, it is what it is. If you want to protest, go do it. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Do I sometimes get bored and have nothing to watch at 10 o'clock at night? And then there's some West Coast Leagues Cup games. So I just like, well, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to watch it. Do I feel bad about it? I mean, not really. But I kind of wish I wasn't watching it. Although it is sort of noise in the background because I'm always doing something else at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need some noise. And then, if a goal happens, I look up and watch. I'm not really buying tickets to the game or anything like that. So let's see.
So Dan says thoughts on Leagues Cup versus
you didn't want to try his last name, did you?
Not even close. Luke's cow. Pretty close.
Or in his native land, it would have been Lukskov.
Okay, fair enough.
With the W being a V.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So he says thoughts on Leagues Cup versus Open Cup. Feel guilty about even going to the Revs game tonight, but I still want to support the players.
Yeah, I can understand that sentiment of supporting the players because it's not their fault. They didn't have any decision in this. They really didn't have any decision in this. This is all.
I know where Antonio is at in the show.
Damn, Antonio, you are like way back in the show. Way back. You and Fumar need to talk about that shit.
Well, yeah, no. So, my stand. Obviously, we've been a very proponent as far as just bashing MLS for their U.S. Open Cup stance. I'm still going to watch Chicago play Leagues Cup because I still want to watch Chicago play.
I'm going to watch LA Galaxy. I know it's probably not great, but I've already paid for Apple TV. I'm gonna because I'm watching MLS, so I'm not gonna watch Leagues Cup. I don't know. I don't think me not watching Leagues Cup is gonna make a difference. Now, empty stands, that certainly makes a difference. If there's nobody showing up, that probably makes a difference.
I'm a glutton for punishment, David. I'm a glutton for punishment.
At least my team doesn't suck this season.
this season, yeah. That was my big question to Matsuda was, hey, it's great that you're going to invest in a new stadium with actual grass field, but let's worry about the on-field performances now. I'm not asking for a lot. Let's just get to the playoffs, especially given the fact how many teams make the playoffs. That's just more salt in the wound, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody makes the playoffs basically
except
in
for Chicago.
MLS. It's like you got to be absolute dirt crap horrible to not make the playoffs in MLS. And that's got to get fixed at some point.
I agree.
Really having more than half the teams qualify for the playoffs is just absurd. It's absurd and it needs to stop.
The money, Derek.
I know, but it's not cool. It's too easy to do.
So Alexi says, why would you feel guilty? Go and enjoy the game, which is what we kind of say. Go support your team. Don't let other people in life make you feel guilty and tell you what you should like and what you should not like, or why you should like. Let me rephrase that. All the American soccer purity tests are ridiculous, hypocritical, and damaging.
I had to take him to task for that. Sorry.
Yeah, I basically said the same thing. It's like, well, we're going to get to yours right here, but. I was basically saying it's not about what other people think. It's about establishing a cash grab tourney and then using the schedule congestion as an excuse to not participate in a tournament. They are required to, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about this for weeks.
Absolutely.
I keep drilling this point home until somebody tries to correct me. Nobody corrects me on it.
Right. And I said, Alexi, not so much a purity test, which, that was a really weird word to take, as a commitment test to the oldest running tourney in the US of A. Some, MLS marketing wing ran this tourney like a red-headed stepchild. Wink, wink at Lalas.
It should have been nearly 2 decades, what you should have said.
Yeah, for over a decade and destroyed it. Now they take no responsibility for its downfall. Please, still love. So Alexi do a lot of the music talking behind the scenes. So I'm not going to lie and say that, I hate him. I don't. He's been on our show. We liked him a lot when he came on the show. And since then, we stayed in touch with him. So I don't hate him as a person at all. I disagree with a lot of his takes, obviously. And we took him to task when he was on the show and asked him hard questions on some of those things. The one I forgot and you forgot and we all forgot was, hey, what about calling technical manager soulless? Yeah, I wish we would have asked him that. But
we would have had that video clip. I doubt he probably would have even remembered it.
But we should have asked him it. I just forgot that it happened. I just didn't remember it. So at the time.
So obviously in previous shows, we talked about the Don coming on saying how it was horrific, the attendance for the U.S. Open Cup match between Indiana and Atlanta, and how they had to open up that big stadium or whatever. And that's why they're going to just focus on Leagues Cup unless they can work with U.S. Soccer to really fix things with that tournament. Well, things aren't going so great for the Leagues Cup. At least some of the matches. Not all the matches, but some.
Not all, but some are, like Atlanta's having a rough time.
Yeah. So what do you have? Trying to think of where this stadium is. Which one's this one? I thought that was Houston. I'm not sure whose that is now.
Well, who goes to
but
Houston?
This is Atlanta.
Anyhow. Yeah.
This one's Atlanta. They don't have that big of an audience for the match. Obviously, it's less than what they normally bring in. And the sad thing about that is that Leagues Cup, at least the ones against other MLS sides, are all included in the season ticket holder packages.
Didn't somebody say there was a reason that people didn't show up at Atlanta?
Yeah. I've got that pulled up. We'll go over that.
Some sort of event was going on, or something else was happening. I don't know.
Mike, it might be Orlando. You might be right. I'm not sure who's that stadium that was. Although, if you did look, there is a purple section, so maybe you're right.
Yeah,
maybe that is Orlando.
Could be, yeah. So it's not going well for everybody. But then in other stadiums like San Jose against whoever that was,
it was against Chivas. Let me pull it up here real
quick.
That
one was packed with Chivas fans. It was like packed with Chivas fans. So that's not even.
Well, that's why the Cheese says, hey, guys, your boycott is totally working. Almost 51,000 strong for the Chivas versus San Jose match. That's great. I would argue and say about 90% of those fans in there are probably Chivas fans, which is why I said, in this instance, Chivas fans are happy to snap up the tickets.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you're a Chivas fan and you live in California, you're going to that game. So. Mm-hmm. Because you're not really in tune with the rest of the, MLS supporters feeling like they're having an upset stomach with the whole abandoning of Open Cup. So there are MLS fans that are indeed protesting by not going to Leagues Cup games. And, but most of the supporters groups gave in and said, no, we're there to support the players and the team and we're going. So, but some aren't. This isn't a Euro snob thing or anything like that. This is just some fans are like, I really don't care either way. Yeah. And others are saying, I do care about Open Cup and I'm going to protest the Leagues Cup. So, Chief, U.S. men's national team, War Pigs chief. Okay, I guess he's a big Black Sabbath fan.
Must be.
Yeah. I love American soccer supporters. Let's boycott, air quotes, let's boycott something that might actually grow the game because some other thing that is proven not to grow the game and that we don't attend anyway got skipped this year. Okay, well, just chronically in their own assholes at times. That's a bit harsh. That's not really what most people are saying. I think what he's not getting is that Open Cup is really beneficial for the lower leagues.
Yep.
Like if that big game versus Atlanta and Indy 11, was it Indy 11? Indy 11 Stadium sold out.
Yep.
Absolutely fucking sold out. In Atlanta, they don't care. That's not a big game on the schedule for them. You know, that's not against some big MLS team or one of their MLS rivals. That's some team like in Indianapolis. Who the fuck are they? So, yeah, they're probably not going to be that interested. But that's why all the games need to be hosted in the venue of the smaller team in the lower league, because those stadiums are going to be packed, absolutely packed. And that grows the game. It does grow the game, but that's not what happens. And so, yeah, when the game's played in an MLS stadium, no one shows up.
I got into a conversation with the U.S. Open Cup's Twitter handle about this because I was curious how they picked the home and away for each match, and apparently it's all a draw from first round up. It doesn't even matter. I thought like the earlier rounds, it was always the lower seed gets home match or whatever. Nope. It's all random draw.
Random.
And I'm like, and I asked him, I'm like, wouldn't this solve all of MLS's problems if you just gave the lower seed the home?
Yeah.
Now, of course, when it comes to MLS versus MLS, maybe you do a random draw at that point.
Yeah.
But against the lower seed, just give it to the lower seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in my response to him, like, grow the game in terms of what? MLS? As someone who is part of Indy 11's creation, I assure you the U.S. Open Cup helps lower divisions quite a bit. Markets the MLS are not in and will never be in. The boycott is simple. Have both.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not saying ditch the League's Cup and bring back U.S. Open Cup. They're saying we're going to boycott this cash grab until you bring back Open Cup.
Right. You don't have to ditch League's Cup. You just do both. And then we said this a million times on this show, so we'll just say it one last time. There are generally 26 players on every roster. Some of those guys don't get to play a lot.
Nope.
Play the guy. Let your starters sit home and have a day off and rest and fly the rest of the guys in to play the game. I mean, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. Even if it's you have 14 players and then add a few of the young guys in from the 2 team and go fly them off or drive them on a bus, whatever distance it is, and let them play the game. I'm sure they'd be happy to get some playing time. And if you make it deeper in the tournament, then you play your starters, I suppose. But every MLS team can afford to do that at this point. So it's ridiculous that isn't happening. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of fix. There's got to be.
ATL guy says, what does the FA do in the FA Cup? Do they do lower seeds or do they do random draw?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. I thought
That's a great question.
I thought it was random as well, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that. Anyhow,
the big difference there is if a 4th division side goes to say Chelsea fans will still show up regardless because they like the FA Cup.
Well, the FA Cup has a long history. So does the U.S.
It says it's random.
Okay. And that makes more sense that it's random. But in this case, for our Open Cup, let's stop making it random.
Yeah.
If you have a USL Championship team playing a League 2 team, go play the game at the League 2 team stadium because they're gonna show up for that because they're underdogs. If it's an MLS team versus Indy 11 in USL Championship, play it in Indy. You're going to pack the house. There will be 11,000 people in our stadium full. It'll be full. So there you go.
So Brian goes on to talk about how apparently Minnesota fans are unhappy with League's Cup and are planning on showing it too on Tuesday. So tomorrow I would wager that the League's Cup in Minnesota is probably not going to be well attended in comparison.
Brian Korstad, a former guest on this show, by the way, back in 2012 would be my guess, somewhere around.
It was definitely in the early years, yeah.
2011 maybe. Yep. Good guy.
So Chris Kilroy points out the reasons why ATL fans may have caused reasons why there may have been low attendance in ATL against Indy 11. Or no, sorry. This is for League's Cup. Let me rephrase this.
All right. String of bad results. Star players sold and not replaced yet. Oversupply of ticks on secondary market. League's Cup not yet resonating. Understood broadly. we crash out of the cup competitions early. Maybe. I mean, that's those sound like reasonable reasons that, and it's probably multiple reasons.
Yeah.
So that's makes sense to me.
It was a Friday night match, and season ticket holders have tickets for that match because it was against an MLS side. It was against DC, I think. So,
Okay.
I mean, the tickets were available to fans showing up.
Yeah.
So,
I don't really care either way about what's going on in Atlanta. Not an Atlanta fan. It's sad to see them having such a rough time, and Atlanta was one of those franchises that came right out of the box and were doing well. And I don't know what's going on there now.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a lot of fixes going on. So we'll see what happens. For the over 300 of you here at one point, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandmother. Lean over, give your stepsister a kiss for me, because that's hot. All right, what else we got?
Get out of my ear, Derek. Get out of my ear. Oh, man. Right. So last show we were talking about promotion relegation, and we were talking about Bordeaux potentially becoming non-existent.
No, not potentially. They're gone.
No, they're not gone.
Yeah, they are.
The decision's gonna be made this week where what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How so?
We'll talk about it later. I don't want to go pull the thing for it. They're getting shorthand. They're getting dropped down to whatever lower division. They've sold out all their stuff right now. But
contracts were all ended. So
yeah. So
who's going to play on that team? A bunch of turkeys?
Maybe. They're continuing their youth development program. And then whatever situation occurs, it won't happen this season. There's a whole thread about this, and I can pull it up to you and show you afterwards. But there's a whole thread. If they get approved and they get some of their debt removed, they'll reside in some lower division, but it won't be this next season. It'll be the following season afterwards. Okay. And then at that point, they're just going to have their chance to move up again. But
well, good luck to them, because there'll be like 4 levels down, as far as I understand.
Yeah. So I didn't really want to get into that topic again, but we were talking about teams becoming non-existent overall.
Yes.
And we had talked about the number of teams. I brought up my tweet about talking about Chivas USA, Fusion, and what was the other?
Like potentially our team?
Indy 11's another great example in this sense. And U.S. Soccer Reform did end up posting a list because he keeps track of this. I believe I'm 99.9% positive it's Ted.
Could be Ted Westerfeld, yeah.
But he keeps a list of teams, 161 clubs that have failed since 1992 in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, of all the lower division teams, they come and go, so that number is gonna constantly rise because there's constantly going to be lower teams that be around for 3 or 4 years and then just fizzle out because the money's not there. Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I showed this to you, Derek, after Thursday's show, and you wanted to go over the list a little bit because it's kind of funny.
Some of the names of these teams are just silly. Albuquerque Geckos?
Yeah.
That does not roll off the tongue very easily, does it?
Atlanta Ruckus?
The Ruckus. And then the Silverbacks. I never really got the Silverbacks thing. Never really. And then what's up with the Bay Area Seals, San Francisco Seals, San Francisco Unite All Blacks?
That's a new one to me. I've never heard of that one.
Is that made up, or was that a real team? Bay Cities FC, Bethlehem Steel. That's a sad one because Bethlehem Steel goes back in our history way, way back. We're talking black and white photos, folks. Birmingham.
Yeah, the Grasshoppers.
I love that. I love the Grasshoppers. What a great name for a team. There's the Grasshoppers, obviously, in Switzerland. But man, I'd like to have a team name. Grasshoppers.
So I got the Atlanta Silverback thing here in a second. I'll pull up. But Liam Davis says Arkansas A's. So original.
How's this? The Worcestershire Wildfire. No, it's worse.
The gorilla at the zoo wasn't Harambe, was it?
No, it was named after the gorilla at the zoo. It was. Yes, absolutely. It's Worcester. I know that, guys. I'm making a joke. But I don't know why you name your team after one of the animals at the zoo. That might be something Greg does, because Greg would probably, if he started a new MLS team, he'd name it the African Dogs, right? That's what he would do. And then we got
the county cruisers.
That's so weird. Cape Cod Crusaders? Really? Crusaders. Okay. Riptide. Fucking Riptide. You gotta be kidding me.
Chico Rooks.
Rooks. The Rooks. Yeah. The Cheetahs. Cincinnati Cheetahs.
Chivas USA. What a weird name.
Cleveland Caps. Cleveland City Stars. All right. Expos.
Wasn't it outside of the Cincinnati Riverhawks? Wasn't there another Riverhawk somewhere?
There was the Railhawks. Railhawks. That was like in one of the Carolina Railhawks. Yeah. What's the where's Cocoa? Where is that? Is that a city?
Fuck, I know, dude.
Cocoa Expos? The fuck is that? Columbus. What?
Zogs?
I mean, I have to say some of these sound made up to me.
Hang on. I've got to look that one up.
All right. Yeah, the Carolina Railhawks. So that was explained to me by somebody who was a supporter of that team, that it was a mix of a form of transportation, i.e. the train, and hawks. So rail hawks. They mix transportation with an animal, right? So I made up my own team called the Bus Gerbils, right?
That's right. I remember that, yeah.
The Bus Gerbils. Form of transportation and an animal.
I'm trying to find out what the hell the name actually means. But yeah, 94 in US ISL.
Fumar says all words are made up. I am totally aware of that, obviously, as a linguistics, kind of guy. But I do have to say some words should not be made up. That's all I'm saying. Like bus gerbils should not be a name for a soccer team. Oh, I'm a fan of the Louisville Bus Gerbils. That sounds wrong. Railhawks makes no, like mixing hawks with trains. The fuck is that shit? And I don't even know what Zogs is.
We'll find out right here.
It's a mysterious phrase with no meaning. Nice has said that the name was deliberately convoluted to create a cult following and drive merchandise sales. Well, that didn't work out well, did it?
You have no idea how many t-shirts they sold that had Zogs on it.
Yeah, we will never know.
It could be the Rail
Haktua. She's still having her 15 minutes of fame?
She's still there, but people are criticizing her, of course, as one imagines. All right, let's see. CPB, Crystal Palace, Baltimore.
Dallas Rockets. How unoriginal can you be? Sharks.
Is there really another team with wizards outside of sport? Kansas City ones?
Give me a break. Bigfoot.
Yes, nice.
Jesus.
Hey, FC. There's at least a non-unique one.
Football Club New York. Okay. All right. Yeah. Hawaii tsunami. Yeah. Why don't you name it after a horrible natural disaster that kills lots of people?
Houston Hurricanes, since we talked about it.
Hurricanes.
Oh, R.I.P. guys. R.I.P.
Hurricanes kill people. Blasts kill people. Why do we name shit after cyclones? Kill people.
Here, this is one that we talked about.
I like that one. I like Armada.
I like that. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Was that the in NASL one, or did they move to USL when NASL folded again? Because they were part of the 8 group in NASL within the 11, weren't they?
They were. Yep. I don't know what happened. And I say NASL folded, and I think they just folded. Quicksilver.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like they're reading too many comics there in Las Vegas. Bluegrass Bandits. I guess that makes sense for Lexington. But I mean,
the Thoroughbreds make sense.
Los Angeles Fireballs. What the fuck is a fireball? Seriously. Come on.
Well, it's ball of fire.
Let's just call it my burning testicles. I mean, seriously. Los Angeles Salsa. Cobras.
MLS Project 40. Was that really a team? I mean, I knew that was a team of all the MLS Project 40s that came together and played a game.
I do have to say,
I don't think that counts. I think we're down to 160.
I think a lot of these teams fail because their names are so bad. Honestly.
The Myrtle Beach Boys.
Myrtle Beach Boys.
There we go. Yeah, that's the one that we pointed out too. Sea Dogs.
So you think the Myrtle Beach Boys hired like the Beach Boys to do like halftime shows?
Probably.
Yeah.
Why not? Might as well get away with that, yeah.
I'm gonna till my daddy took the T-bird away.
I like how this is different stations in life, but they all had the same last name.
I want to be fair to the Beach Boys, one of my favorite bands, by the way. So if you haven't heard Pet Sounds, you're missing out. Don't think all they did was surf songs, because they didn't. They did
Oklahoma City Slickers.
Some beautiful, beautiful. You're ignoring me, but they did some beautiful music, the Beach Boys. Yeah. Absolutely amazing music.
I had some during my wedding.
Did you?
Yeah.
So it's not just Surfing USA and Daddy Took the T-Bird Away and all that. Those are the corny ones. Okay. We're talking about the good ones, the really good ones. Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, wouldn't it be nice? It's such an amazing song.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's so good. It's so good. You listen to it, and you can't stop. You like keep replaying it. You're like, I can't stop listening to this song. All right, Philadelphia Freedom. Oh, that's original. And then they got really angry and changed it to the Philadelphia Fury. We didn't get the freedom we wanted, so now we're furious. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, I guess the Zodiac Killer was from Northern California, so I guess it may not necessarily be where Orange County Zodiac is. Maybe that just has to do with the signs, the Zodiac signs instead.
Wasn't City
Well, it's
Slickers?
still the same city. It was a movie, yeah.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it was a Billy Crystal movie.
Billy Crystal movie. So that must have come out at the same time as the movie.
In the 90s, I imagine. I mean, City Slickers is a thing. I mean, the people talk. That's some old phrase. But I would imagine that City Slickers, the movie came out, and they're like, "Hey, Oklahoma City Slickers." That makes sense.
Well, there's also oil in Oklahoma, so maybe that's also a referral to the oil slick, right?
That's true. It could be.
Yep. So they're just trying to add multiple meanings there. All right. Well, most of this is pretty bad. Most of the names are pretty horrible. Roanoke Wrath. Oh, right. So if you're going to have a team in Roanoke, you're going to have the name be Wrath after what happened in Roanoke. That makes a lot of sense. God, read some history.
San Diego Top Guns.
Yeah, watching too much, too many movies there.
Yep.
Okay, well,
I'm sure there's other good ones in here.
Salty Dogs. Syracuse Salty Balls. That would be a good one. Another Fireballs.
Yeah.
Tulsa Fireballs. You unoriginal piece of shit. Jesus. All right. So that's what we got. We went through them all. Some of those were really horrible, really bad. San Diego Fish Tacos, says Nay Michaels. Or not Michaels. Why can't I never remember Nay Nye's name? And I know that we've been corrected like 30 times at this point. And I still, my old rusty, crusty brain still can't remember it. All right. It's too much juicy seafood, Brett.
Yep,
too much juicy seafood. By the way, that's the sponsor of the show today. Make sure if you're in the Indianapolis area, you visit your nearest juicy seafood.
They got some other places. I saw one in Alabama. They're all over the place.
When you bite into our shrimp, it literally bursts
with flavor.
Explodes with juices into your mouth.
Well, that's going to be a weird transition into this bit, Derek.
All right. Do not panic. Do not panic. Cap them now. Cap them now. All righty. That was a lot of USL and MLS on this show, which never bodes well for our show.
We only lost about 5 people.
I know, but We lost 5 people. They're coming back now. The numbers just went up, but it's like you could see them leave.
Yeah,
as we're
there's
talking about
somebody
MLS.
on the there's somebody on the inside in the chat going, "Okay, guys, it's safe. They're done talking about MLS now.
Come back in. They're done talking about MLS." Right. Fabrizio Romano, who we already saw earlier today on the show. Understand Man City are closing in on a deal to sign Christian McFarland from NYCFC. Agreement now done. McFarland has rejected bids from Brighton and German clubs for Man City. Another huge signing for Man City Academy. First, Kevin Sullivan. Now, Christian McFarland. Christian McFarland is American?
He's an American English.
Oh, okay. Well, just like Kevin, or Kevin, is it Kevin? It's Kevin. I don't think that Christian McFarlane is going to be playing for Man City anytime soon. He will join.
He's going to their academy, yeah.
Yeah, he'll go to the academy. He'll play for their youths.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But, yeah, a little odd for them to be buying up all these Americans, but not really. They've done it before. This isn't the first time. So,
well, I mean, you've gone over the list 1,000 times about how many, U.S. players are in the academies of European teams.
Yeah.
Now, of course, some of them are Americans who live in Europe, of course, but some of them have also made the early move over.
Right.
Especially in the earlier years.
Because they're dual nats and they have a passport. Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and it just doesn't work out. For majority of them, it doesn't work out.
The vast majority you guys never hear about.
Right.
The vast majority.
I wouldn't, if I were you out there, I wouldn't bust out the loop or anything like that about any of these moves. It's nice to know, but keep an eye out maybe, but I wouldn't get too excited.
It's also not Derek saying, hey, this kid's not talented. Probably is very talented. Let's just wait. Let's just wait and see, guys. Keep him in mind. Say, oh, hey, there's that kid. There's a couple kids at Man City. That's cool.
Right.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, we got a kid in Liverpool right now named Figueroa. And what is his actual chance of ever playing for Liverpool? As good as he is, tiny, very small, like 20% at best, 10% maybe, somewhere around there. I mean, something needs to happen. We've seen players go to Liverpool in the past and come back to MLS and fail, and then or get injured or whatever, and never have a career even. That's a Pelosi. We let other players be in Manchester United's academy and fail and have a decent career in MLS, but so you can't get too excited about this. If you know the history and you're as old as we are and you've covered the game as long as we have, we've had players at Arsenal. We've had all these big teams like Gideon Sloan. All kinds of weird shit happens. Either they're not good enough, or if you're Pelosi and Sloan, you have injuries up the butthole, and it just never pans out for you. So
at least with Zalam, he was actually getting onto the game day 18 and played a few minutes or two.
He played a few minutes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the injuries took him out, and now he's playing in second division Holland. So there you go.
The Bulgarian American at Liverpool, was that Pelosi?
No, he's Italian.
I mean, that's what I would have assumed with that name like that, but I don't know another.
Who was the Bulgarian American at Liverpool? Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying to remember here. I mean, you're asking me.
How far back are we going? I mean, John Thorrington, I think, was there, and I think obviously Kenny Cooper was there. I mean, Kenny Cooper's Man City.
Man United.
Both of them actually. Thorrington and Cooper were both at Man United.
Right. So it happens. I mean, somebody mentions Charles Rankin. Yeah, I mean, everybody who knew anything about and had watched him play as a Ute knew or felt that Charles Rankin was going to be the bomb dizzle, and it just never happened.
Knee injury after knee injury. That's
Injury after
fucking killer, man.
I mean, injuries will wipe out any good youth player. So, Cody Arnaud, keep an eye on, but don't whip out the lube. Basically, the recommendation is don't ever get too excited until it happens, because you can't anymore. There's too much precedent of failure. Too much, way too much of long lists of kids who went over that we all thought, surely this kid's going to make it. He looks so good. No, it's like a 5% success rate. That's what you're looking at. And that's, if you open it up to the success rate, including playing an MLS in the future, I guess you can increase that to 10%, but even that hasn't worked out. We have kids who've gone over there, played in some of the best academies, come back to the United States, and can't even make it in MLS. They end up in the USL. Mm-hmm. And some of them are so badly injured or fucked up, they never played professional soccer at all. So just don't get, and we say this a lot, most of the people that watch this show already know this, don't get too wound up about any player. Don't even get wound up about Kevin Sullivan. You can't do that. Not for the reasons that you don't want to, overhype a kid, although that's not good to overhype a kid.
Sullivan had 3 goal-scoring contributions so far for Philly, too.
Jesus Christ. It's really about your own emotional protection, right? Don't get ever too invested in a young player, because the chances they actually make it, even if they are as good as Kevin Sullivan is supposed to be, you're going to be disappointed. So invest in them once they're Christian Pulisic and they've come out of the youth squad and immediately get advanced to the big boy team and start playing. That's when you whip out the lube. That's when you whip out the lube and get excited, because that means he's done something in the youth ranks that has bumped him at 16 years old all the way to the big boy team. Then it's time to whip out the lube. Not literally, that's a metaphor. It's time for you to get mildly excited. I'm not telling you to whip out the lube for a 16-year-old boy. All right.
That's just weird. Taken out of context there. We got to watch how
Yes. If it gets taken out of context, it will be weird.
Super weird. All right. Well, that topic takes us on to our next topic.
Transfer news. Transfer news. Who's getting mounted on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news. But me. Whatever.
All righty. Lyon have begun discussions with Milan for Yunus Musa. Musa's valuation is 22 mil, and Lyon will have to convince him to join Ligue 1. Somebody asked me to say Ligue 1 earlier. There you go. From all the reports I hear, that's not happening. He's staying at Milan. So,
I mean, at that point, he was working his way up as far as getting more and more playing time as the season progressed. Why would you possibly contemplate on leaving?
Yeah, and apparently the new manager likes him and sees potential. So I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, anything's possible. We're still in crazy season, right?
Yeah.
This has already been debunked. Good. Because I immediately read it, and knowing what I know, I said, it sounds like bullshit. It sounds like bullshit. I don't think that's happening. Derek, say Ligue 1. Ligue 1.
Ligue
1. Ligue 1. All right, so yeah, Moose is staying at Milan. So is Pulisic. Although Pulisic only got 10 minutes in that friendly. That was weird.
So I commented about that as well, and somebody was nice enough to say, well, he only just got into Milan's camp 2 days ago before that match.
10 minutes?
So my guess is they're like, well, he just got in. Let's let him get readjusted with everything, and we'll play him out short and then bring him in moving forward. Because I saw him on the Jimmy Fallon show or whatever.
I did.
That little stint of that was going around Twitter about doing the Three Amigos salute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I quote tweeted said like, okay, he's got to score now, right? He's got to score.
Yeah, I think he should have let Jimmy know, although I'm sure that would have been bad to say that because then nobody would have gone to the game. Yeah, Jimmy, I'm probably only going to play like 10 minutes. I mean, I was thinking
like
to
most
get
of the people I went not just for him, but obviously to see the other people as well.
even if he just joined the club a few days before Untouchable saying Thursday, you could give him like at least 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes. I don't know. Seemed weak sauce, but that's all right. It is preseason, so I'm not getting worked up about it or anything. I just saw the starting lineup. I'm like, damn, Chuck Wasey. Okay. There's a guy who could possibly convince the coach, the new coach, that he's better than Pulisic, Chuck Wasey. It's possible for that to happen had Chuck Wasey or during this whole preseason thing starts really kicking ass, right? And then all of a sudden Pulisic's not a starter anymore. That would suck. So I hope that's not the case. Wes McKennie is out of Juventus project. They wanted to include to him. Okay, no wonder. This is a fucked up sentence. They wanted to include him in the deal with Aston Villa. Just mark out the word "to." But the problem was not between McKennie and Villa. It was between him and Juve. McKennie requesting a crazy salary at Villa was not a reality. And although it's been going on, folks, for some time we've been talking about it on this show. McKennie's agent and McKennie want big money. And guess what? Juventus aren't giving him the money he wants. They basically gave him almost the same offer he already has to extend. McKennie said, fuck off. And his agent said, fuck off. And so now they're on really bad terms with Juventus. And was the request outrageous? I don't know, because I don't know how much more he wants than he was getting. But I can tell you what he's got right now is not going to be matched by most of the teams that are going to be willing to sign him, like Aston Villa. Aston Villa is not spending Man City money on any player. Or I should have said Chelsea money, because Chelsea buy shit players for millions of dollars. That's just not going to happen. So at some point, McKennie and his agent are going to have to sit down and go, let's face reality here.
Well, from what this odd quote from Fabrizio is saying is that the issue wasn't between McKennie and Villa, it was between him and Juve. Why the deal went south. It was not about McKennie requesting a crazy salary that Villa was not willing to pay. So there was some maybe I don't know, maybe that Juve are basically sticking it to him by making the transfer fee higher than what people are wanting to pay for. I don't know.
No, it says. It says McKennie requesting a crazy salary at Villa.
Was not a reality.
Oh, okay. I get what. Okay, I was thinking about the other way around.
The issue isn't between him and Aston Villa. It's the issue, what Fabrizio is saying is it's the issue between him and Juve. I don't know what issue that is. If McKennie and Aston Villa come up with an agreement saying, yeah, we'll pay you this much, etc., that only leads me to think that Aston Villa is not willing to pay the 25 mil plus that.
Oh, there's no way. No.
So it has to come down to that in the end. Because what else? Where could the difference between him and Juve come from here?
There is no team in Germany outside of, let's say, Bayern and Dortmund who could put up that kind of money. So that's just a non-starter. All right. That the kind of money McKennie wants and the kind of money Juventus want, right?
Yeah.
So Juve site said they're willing to give West to Fiorentina for under 10 mil. Yeah, they're definitely trying to get rid of Wes McKennie. There's absolutely zero doubt.
Yeah.
They hate his agent. They hate the negotiations that have happened. They hate the pressure. That's, and that was evident at the end of last season because obviously McKennie got benched as soon as the negotiation started. They're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
You know, we're paying him enough. He should be fucking happy to be playing here. And
so if the case is, well, and then Bentley says basically the same thing, but that Fiorentina is only willing to pay Juve $10 million. So I don't know. Him and Brett are saying two totally different things here, as far as using the same number but saying the opposite things.
Yeah,
Juve will get rid of him for under 10 mil. Because if Juve is willing to get rid of him for under 10 mil, then I would wager there's more teams. There would be more teams interested.
Oh, there would be Premier League teams that would be willing to take McKennie for around like the 12-15 marker. But if they're still looking for 22 mil or and above, there's no way Juve's getting that money in England, because guess what? He's living in the memory of Leeds United for most people in England and most English Premier League scouts and people that watch those games. His value dropped significantly, unfair or fair. Doesn't matter. There's no team in England's going to pay 22 million for McKennie at this point. Sorry. And certainly there's not a lot of German teams that could afford to put down that kind of cash. And the ones that can aren't doing it. They don't need Weston McKennie.
Well, and John talks about how even Keyes is leaving. And yeah, he's leaving. Rabiot turned down Liverpool because he says he wants to play for Man United.
Yep.
I mean, Juve is going to see a completely different squad here with the new manager, which actually works out better for him, I imagine.
I bet you they're going to be horrible next season. That would be my prediction. Juventus is going to struggle next season. You can't lose Chiesa. You just can't do it. If you're talking about using Way as your starting forward.
Who's the young Turkish kid that they have?
Yeah, that's all fine, but
he was almost just as productive last season as Chiesa. But Chiesa has suffered injury after injury for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Year and a half.
Yeah, it could be a rough season for Juventus next season, and it's very possible. But one thing, he definitely needs to find a new team. And if I were him and his agent, I would say, dudes, just find something fucking reasonable. You don't need. You're still going to make millions of dollars regardless. It's just not going to be the millions of dollars you think you should be getting. And if it's England, you're just not going to get the same kind of contract you would. And if you're talking to Juventus, you're saying, listen, you're just not going to get that kind of money for McKennie. So you're going to have to start lowering your price. There's just no way that's happening if you're trying to sell him to Aston Villa or some other English team. Because in their memory, they just remember him at Leeds United. And that's their memory of Weston McKennie. And it was not a very good one or a very flattering memory.
Well, I mean, hell, look at let's just talk about him now, I guess. Josh Sargent was not part of the Norwich squad. Probably still maybe rehabbing a bit or just taking it easy during preseason, I guess. But just using Sargent as an example to what you're talking about with Weston at Leeds, whenever it talks, any team rumor comes up as far as Josh Sargent going to XYZ club, all they talk about, it could be within championship too. I mean, hell, even when Leeds talks about Sargent being an option.
Right.
The first thing, he didn't do shit in EPL. Yeah, he didn't do anything there. I'm like, well,
2 fucking years ago.
Exactly.
I mean,
but it's fresh in their minds. That's all they can think about. They don't care about what the player is now. They care about what they saw on the field a handful of years ago.
Right. And I mean, at least for Sargent, if you're a scout for an EPL team, you might look and go, oh, well, this is a different kid now that he's playing center forward.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could use him. So you could make that justification. The only memory you have of McKennie is playing a double pivot with Leeds and it not working out real well. And so it's kind of hard. There's been no evolution. Yes, did he have a good season at Juventus? But if you're the English Premier League, you're like, yeah, but Italy's really not that great of a league compared to our league. You know, there is that kind of arrogance there. So, I think Josh Sargent's more likely to get a better deal than even McKennie would. But we'll see. I think the Josh Sargent thing here is mostly still nursing the injury, right?
Yeah.
John Tompkinson, he's just not that good, in my opinion.
That's like, I mean, he should have been with the Olympic squad, if anything, but
should have made the Olympic squad. Should have needed if he was good enough.
Yeah.
And then his loan last season was but that's 2 divisions down.
Yeah.
For Tompkinson, he should have been a penned-in starter every game, and he wasn't. And
yeah, I thought he was.
I don't think he was.
I'm too lazy to go look at.
I don't think he was at the beginning. I do think he got I do think he got some time. Don't get me wrong, but you go down there, you should be kicking ass. Two steps below. So we'll see what happens. I'm not making any declarations about Tompkinson yet, but maybe he'll get some time. But more than likely, he's going back out on loan. More than likely. So
let's just I maybe look for it now. All right. So in 23 games, I'll just pull the names. Fuck it.
A good point by Chambers. Tompkinson was given every chance to lock down an Olympic spot and failed. I would absolutely agree with that. Yep.
100% agree with that, yeah. So he wasn't in the squad for up through November.
Yeah.
On a loan. That's
and he wasn't injured.
Well, you know what? Maybe he came into the squad. No, never mind.
Let's look at his injury history. Was he injured for that whole beginning of the season? He didn't even barely make the bench. That's horrendous.
No injury history.
Yeah.
But he immediately went from not being on the squad to barely being on the bench to immediately 90 all the way down. And that's why I was wondering, it's like, man, did he just transfer at the winter? But no, he got 5 minutes early. Maybe he did get an injury that's just not recorded.
Yeah, could be not recorded. But that's a lot of not playing. And then
I mean, we are talking about League Two, so I mean,
but
they got the numbers down, and him not being on the squad is probably not as much detail as they're going to go.
We're talking about League Two, man. You should be killing it in League Two.
There has to be an injury here, 100%, because you don't go from that to being an automatic starter for the rest of the season.
Yeah, like
the season.
a pulled left testicle, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to play with a strained left testicle. I can tell you. For the 325 of you that were here at one point, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandmother, lean over, and finger your stepsister. All right. I'm sorry, the fingering thing from earlier. Just thought I'd carry it on for later in the show.
That's fair.
All right. Marseille's appreciation for Gio Reyna is still there, but it's still not a concrete negotiation club to club. This will probably be one for the final weeks of the window to look at some opportunities, so it's not something real close now. Also, because Borussia Dortmund have different priorities to sort. If Dortmund sells Reyna to Marseille at a discount, it will be the most egregious loss of money they have ever taken for a kid that was once at 40 mil market value. They're going to probably take like 8 or 9 or 10 million for this kid. They're going to lose $30 million. It would be the dumbest things they could do. The smartest thing they could do is keep Reyna around and play him next fucking season and rebuild his market value. That's the bottom line.
So
that's why Terzic got fired, by the way, for not playing the young players and all of their market values going into the shitter.
Well,
that's why he got fired.
He got
canned.
Just recently, a number of their young players have been wanting out or transferring out recently. So
it's the opposite of the whole framework of how Dortmund operated for years. Bring them in young, make them great, sell them for shits of money. That's how Dortmund operates traditionally. The Terzic thing was a complete 360. And Why was he surprised he was not wanted anymore? I don't know why he was surprised, but he expressed some amount of being surprised that he wasn't wanted back. But the main thing from the board, and this was clear in earlier reports in Bild and whatever magazine it was in German, the board was pissed at Terzic for destroying the value of the young players they had brought in and built up. And one of those young players they were not happy about, outside of the others, was Gio Reyna. So they brought in a younger coach who knows Gio well, who was there when Gio was going through the youth program there. And you would think that means that that guy would know Gio and maybe be more invested in him. We shall see. But boy, what a horrible, horrible, horrible investment they have, or the way they have cocked up this whole thing at Dortmund with Terzic and their young players is just, it's ridiculous.
So the fact that Fabrizio says that this will be one for the final weeks of the window, following it up with and also because Dortmund have different priorities to sort, that means let's see who we can sign before we start offloading, potential bench players who can add something. So they're going to wait. They're going to see if they can sign their goal, people who they're planning on signing. If they can't, they'll keep Gio. If they can, then those final couple weeks they're just going to be like, all right, we'll take $8 million from Marseille. Okay, why not?
But we do know this much, based on German papers. The board wants the new coach to get back to focusing on developing young players that they can sell down the road. If that means Adeyemi, Reyna, that's what they want. They want to develop players that they bought for a handful of coins into multi-million-dollar players. And at one point, they had Reyna, his transfer market, all the way up to $40 million. That's back when he was playing with Holland at Dortmund.
Hindsight's always 20/20, man. If they could have predicted that injury, they would have sold him immediately.
Mukoko, that's another good one. Or they just give up and say, you know what, we'll sell them for $8, $9, $10 million. We'll take the loss, and which is still a gain, right? It's still a gain for them because Reyna came in free, so they're going to still make $10 million. But boy, would have rather made $40 million? You bet their ass they would have, because that's what they're used to making from their player sales.
I mean, I guess you got to look at the expense of having Gio there over the number of years, and then equate that to the transfer that they're going to get from him. I mean, that's all accounting nonsense. But yes, they got him for free. They're going to sell him for 8 to 10 or whatever. That's still profit in that sense, but you still got to pay. Over the course of those years, you still paid salary. You still,
right,
facilities, all that stuff. That's all
total waste. Total fucking waste. You're basically selling him at the same price most MLS teams sell their best players to Europe for. Like, that's not what you got him for. And it's not because, injuries hampered things, but he's not injured now. Did he suddenly become a total shit player since when he played with Holland and the rest of the guys and was a kind of almost regular starter? See, a total garbage player all of a sudden? I don't think so. I really don't. So this is going to be on the new manager and how the manager values Reyna, because the board is focused on making money. That's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily sound. I feel like if the new manager really valued Reyna, there'd be something out there saying no, he's staying, et cetera, assuming that he wants to stay. But
well, they're on a tour. I don't know if the manager would say anything in preseason. He'll say something once they decide who the big boy team is, right? And they finalized it. Then people will go, well, what happened to Reyna? And then he'll say something. But I don't think he's going to say anything until then. And if he does, I'll be reading the German papers to find it. Until then, we don't know. But we do know what the board said last season and last year. We do know why the board let go of Terzic. And it wasn't necessarily because of the results only. It was It was the way he treated the young players on the team. So there you go. Well, according to German papers.
Sure.
Not that I know
somebody within the board.
Anyone at the board at Dortmund, because I do not. I'll make that very clear.
Well, there's no easy transition into this, Derek, but we talked about this when it came out, but Canada's been spying on their opposition, huh?
Oh, there's an easy transition. You ready? Canada are clowns. All right, there we go.
Well, we're gonna find out later that apparently everybody are clowns. But
oh my God, Tyler, what are you doing?
We'll get to that in a sec. Let's just, I guess, go over the thing here.
17. She's only 17. 17. Remember that song? I think it was by Winger.
We talked about it before, yeah.
It's okay to sing that? She's only 17?
It was a different time. Maybe the age of consent was there. Who knows?
Maybe the age of consent where he was at was like 16, because that was pretty normal back then. And now it's up to 18 everywhere, almost everywhere, right? I think, except for like Kentucky and the Appalachians, where it's like 12.
Yeah.
I kid. All right. 17 players on Canada's men's national soccer team attended a briefing on August 31st, 2021, and watched as head coach John the Moo Cow Herdman played a video that showed the Honduran national team's closed practice a day earlier. Source says on TSN are hammering.
They are,
this Canadian fucking company is hammering the Canadian national team. Would an American major media corporation hammer U.S. soccer this hard?
No, not even close.
Not even close.
But
even close.
We're sitting here like, I can't believe a Canadian publication is holding the federation, not liable for it, but whatever.
Are they worried about access, you think?
No, I don't think the access the concept of access, I think, is strictly United States based.
You want to know why? Because that Canadian Federation ass is wide open. So they're not worried about access into that, because they need the press and the media more than U.S. soccer needs press and the media. So I guess their ass is wide open. Whereas U.S. soccer, that's the whole get up in that ass, Larry, right? Yeah. So that's the opposite of U.S. soccer, where they are puckered up. Like their assholes are all puckered up. And you better not offend that puckered ass. You better not, because they'll restrict your access. Apparently TSN just does not care. They whipped out that cock and they're all up in that Canadian ass. They're just hammering it. Bam! Bam! Hammering that.
Seems like good journalism.
I think it's honest journalism.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, that's what we need on our side of the border. Why can't we get some ass hammering over here? That's what I want to know.
So they're actually not too far off of our initials. TSRC. But right. We just don't have the inside access regardless, because they don't need us.
There's probably some great words for that acronym that would work with my whole ass hammering thing, right?
Yeah.
But we don't. Testicles and something. Balls deep or whatever. We'd have to work it out. But we'll get there.
All of this is going great with the super chat.
All right. Jacopo Balbo. Sounds like he should be in the movie The Hobbit. No offense, my brother. But with that name, you could be one of the characters.
This reminds me of the movie Count of Monte Cristo. When have you ever seen the movie?
Yeah.
So there's a scene he breaks away from Alba and everything. Alba, but the prison, and he's on the beach and he runs into the pirates, and he's got to knife fight a guy to the death in order to stay alive. And that guy who was in I can't think of the other movie now, but that guy's name was Jacopo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure.
Jacopo. No, that's probably how this is pronounced.
Yeah.
Jacopo Belbo. Interesting name. Love it. Should be at least
also a movie. Yes, it is a book. I understand, but
yes, it is a book. But Brett doesn't read. All right.
I do read. I'm very particular with what I read, Derek.
I'm kidding. I kid around here.
I'm on a hiatus of reading new shit until they finish their fucking series.
All right. It is from Focal's Pendulum by Umberto Eco. Thank you. We do appreciate that. And that's good news, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I mean, it's informing, but I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to in our conversation. Do you?
What are you saying?
What he's saying? Were we talking about things?
16. No, it's 16 in over half the states.
Oh!
The age of consent. Since we mentioned 17 and then you said 16, stuff like that.
I guess it is. I would imagine most of those states would be in the South, would be my guess. And I might be wrong. But so 17 was probably legal back then. It's not as bad as that song that Ringo Starr covered. You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine, all mine, all mine. Yeah. Listen. I mean, really, it's really kind of forget it. All right. So anyhow, they cheated. What's the point? Where are we taking this? They cheated. They're getting punished. The poor team.
FIFA hit him with a 6-point deduction in the Olympics.
I mean, they might as well quit.
I mean, yeah, they got some good results and stuff like that, but I mean, even if you win all 3 of your matches, I mean, that means you got what, 3 points?
Yeah, I mean, is that going to get you through?
Like, I guess it could technically.
It's
I mean,
possible.
You do beat the other 2 teams, and obviously one team's going to go through. Yes, you do stand a chance still. So,
yeah, I mean, you stand a chance, but it's quite miniature, right? Jimmy Page dated a 14-year-old. I did not know that.
So this has me as this strikes me as a bit odd, where it says FIFA has hit Canada with a 6-point deduction. FIFA's got dick all to do with the Olympics, though.
That's true.
When the Olympics do it, I know FIFA has hit them with the fine. I forgot the amount for the fine.
FIFA has no authority over the Olympics.
Yeah, maybe FIFA did it, and the Olympics like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, really weird. But Bev Priestman is gone. I'm going to imagine she's going to be let go.
Shady brings up a good point. 2 third places go too. So
shady spinach. Yeah. Wouldn't want to eat any of that. Don't know what's in that shady spinach.
Yeah. So let me pull up the video that we talked about earlier with Tyler Adams.
Yeah, Tyler, sometimes you need to not flap your lips. This is not good.
This was just stupid. Just say, God, maybe more maybe more news is going to come out soon.
God, you're fucking your own federation here. But go ahead.
It seems like such a surreal thing because Canada is essentially being accused of spying on teams and their training, and it seems so absurd given that they seem like a decent program. But when you first sort of heard of this, what were your first reactions?
What were your first reactions? Did you see his eye roll he gave?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could hear it over here. It's just like eye roll.
Yeah, it sounded like this.
I mean, listen, every team does it. I know for a fact every team does it in some capacity. I don't know about drones and like that seems a little bit crazy.
Well, he just maybe he hasn't heard, but he just heard FIFA docking fines and points and everything like that. Why would you say a goddamn thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some guy with a big like Highlands, thing on top of some building, watching the set pieces of the opponent. It's not a drone, harder to track the guy with the big binoculars or whatever.
They're lining up in that 4-4-2 again.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is like, you you put one of those micro cameras on like one of the ants there on the field, and you run it out there before you leave.
Right here on the top of your head as you're sweeping the floors, you're just constantly turning towards them.
Or you plant a micro camera on one of the crossbars so you can see what's going on. And it's really hard to see those. So
everybody cheats.
I mean, to say everybody cheats, but he does say not everybody they don't use drones, though. I mean, that's ridiculous.
A little high tech, crazy.
I mean, it might be the janitor cleaning up, the stands while the team's practicing, and you kind of corral them over after practice or before practice, more likely, and go, hey, can you just pay attention when they're doing set pieces and tell us what their little set piece plans are? Okay, that could help. That seriously could help. But during a game, set pieces are really important. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's not going to elaborate.
Tyler has resting snitch face. Let's just hear what he has to say for the rest of it.
All right, go ahead.
There's always people when you train in stadiums the day before games or whatever. Someone will be acting like a worker, and they're like really working for a different federation or something. Like it happens consistently. I'm positive of that.
It's like, why that janitor got a telephoto lens on his glasses, bro?
This is one of the better moments on Cooligans.
Well, then he went from saying, "Yeah, everybody does it. I know it," to "Yeah, I'm sure of it." Maybe he realized, maybe I shouldn't have said that part.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wish, you know what? No, I don't wish Tyler would come on our show. That would be really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable for him. So good that he stays on the Cooligans.
Really push and prod that too.
I mean,
wait, are you saying that everybody cheats?
Yeah, we'd be like, what do you?
Yeah, everybody. Well, I wouldn't say cheats. Cheats is a harsh phrase. They gain a little secretive intel.
Yeah, P. Morton says Tyler working for the March of Dimes. RN, what's RN
right now? I think
if he's working for the March of Dimes, that's good. Because I worked for the March of Dimes for 4 years. I was the director of South Central Indiana's March of Dimes. But it's a good organization. Unfortunately, it didn't survive COVID in Indiana. We died off. Beer bug. I said COVID. All right. Anyhow, I think you can say that word now on.
I think so. I think we're past the point.
On YouTube and not get canceled anymore. But there was a time you could not say it. We would say beer bug.
You'd lose monetization from saying it.
Yeah. Saying he is dropping dimes. Okay, I get it. Because, yeah, they don't do that anymore, by the way. They don't take dimes. March of Dimes ain't taking dimes. They want more than dimes at this point.
Yep.
All right. What else we got? Main topic?
Main topic, yeah. As we start getting into the coaching changes and how our systems are playing out, one that quickly bringing up the fact that the quarterfinals for the U20s are tomorrow. Happen to be the same day as the Olympics as well. So tomorrow, the Olympics, we play at 1 o'clock, apparently, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But so I'm not sharing anymore. Hold on 1 second. Let me share this.
So the Olympics are on at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And then the U20s are on at 5:06 p.m.
On the dot.
That is a weird starting time.
On the dot.
And that's also tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I imagine Pete and Filippo will be live on both.
I think
That'd be my guess. And we might be on one or the other. We don't know. Just depends if Pete notices I'm in the chat. Because if he does, he usually calls me in. But
what a massive difference in time. One's at 5:06, the next one's at 10:06. Couldn't it have been like 7:06 and 10:06?
I don't really get that. That must be like, okay, both anthems take 2 minutes, and then we.
I'm just saying there's a 5-hour gap between the two games. I mean, of course, well, technically it's a 3-hour gap. Still.
Yeah, that is a weird gap.
I wonder if this is messed up because look at 7:31. That's at 7:06.
Yeah.
I feel like they may have butchered this.
They may have. What is this from?
This is from CONCACAF site.
You know what I use? Sports on TV.
I would imagine the Federation would get their own shit correct though.
Maybe. Let me find what I use because it's the most accurate one out there, and I will share it with others. If you really want to know what's going on sport-wise all day, all sports, because I watch Formula 1 and I watch Formula 2 and I watch soccer and I'm watching the Olympics and all that shit.
Site has it listed at 5 o'clock, 5 or 6.
So the website you want to use is www.livesportsontv.com. That's the channel. That's what I use to schedule everything I do around sports and soccer mostly. Obviously, 90% of it is soccer. So, yeah. So, yeah, we got some soccer to watch tomorrow, and we will do that. We'll see if I end up on Tack Show or Pete Show tomorrow. I don't know if I will. There's no guarantee. They have to find me in the chat usually, and then they'll have me on if they can find me. If they don't see me because they're watching the game, obviously, then they won't. But and I could text them. I guess I could, but I'm not a glutton. At 1 o'clock, I really don't want to come on anybody's show. Let's be really fucking honest. I haven't had a drop to drink. I do not want to come on any soccer show at 1 p.m. Although I have done it, I do want to do it. 5 o'clock, all right. I go on the show, I'll just start drinking at 5:06 or whatever the hell.
Why not, Derek? What else you can do?
Yeah, exactly.
So the only thing I really got to say about this is I like our odds. I like our odds getting to the semis and qualifying.
For U20s?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, the Olympic team, that's going to be a little sketchier because Guinea really battled. Derek, you never have to say WWW. I know. Did you not notice? I was joking around when I said that. I was totally joking, Fumar. That was a joke. I was not. I was kidding around by adding the WWWs. That's why I made the voice that I did. I know you don't have to add that. So, but the Olympic team is playing Guinea. Guinea really gave France a battle for a while. So they're not really as bad as their loss to New Zealand might seem. So we shall see.
Maybe France just isn't playing as well as they should be.
Yeah, for all you Henri nut snugglers out there, if you really want Thierry Henry to be the U.S. men's national team coach, this is a warning right here. The warning we are watching right now is that we looked really good for 60 minutes against France. And Guinea looked really good against France too. Now, are they winning? Yes. But that's like saying, well, Greg beat St. Kitts. Well, yeah, but Greg's supposed to beat St. Kitts. Well, Greg beat Guatemala. Well, yeah, Greg's supposed to smash Guatemala. Not just beat them, smash them. Make them look like little fucking turds. Not just win. Winning's fine, and that's dandy. But it should be absolute domination. With the lineup this French team has, Thierry Henry should be giving rectal exams to all the other teams in this group. Absolute rectal exams. Because they are that much better. They are the boss.
So, looking at that game that we're going to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then looking at France versus New Zealand.
They'll beat New Zealand.
Let's say worst case scenario, we lose to Guinea. Let's just say that happens.
Yeah. We still can go through.
We're so likely to go through at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, the goal differential would be the big thing. We're over New Zealand at this point, but Guinea would have to. What is our goal differential? We're at 0. So they'd have to score 2 on us just to get to the same point we are.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I hope we don't go in with that mindset. Though.
No, I 100% agree with you on it. Let's not
sit back. Let's try to score a goal early and then not sit back and take all the punishment. Let's go get the second one.
Oh, BMR brings up a great point. They only need 1. because that'd drop us to -1 too.
That's true.
And in that situation, if they beat us and they only score 1, would they go through based off of head-to-head at that point?
Isn't there a flip a coin situation?
I don't know.
I know they do that in some tournaments. They fucking flip a coin if it's all the stats were the same. So, because you go off plus minus, and then you go off total goals scored. Right.
Look at that group right there. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That final day is gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be nuts city. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But the big news of the day, more than anything else, right, is that the Olympic team did go out in the first game, and they played sort of a 4-1-2-3 and then a 4-3-3. It was kind of the standard horse shit, right?
Yeah.
That we always see. But then we saw a lot more of, they went out in a 4-3-3 in the first game. Okay? Pretty standard against France. We lost. But in the second game, we saw them play a 4-1-2-3, the Olympic team, and then a 4-2-3-1 in the second half. So we're seeing a lot of flip-flopping around, which I think is spectacular because we have not seen a lot of that during the Greg and Ernie era. Everybody had to play a 4-3-3. It was standardized across pretty much. I mean, somebody said Varas played a back five at some point. Now, that's fine. If he did and he got away with it, great. But
well, I mean, Greg toyed with the idea of doing a back three, which when you count your wing backs, I mean, you're looking at a 5 on the defense.
But he did it once and it sucked. He did it twice total. But the time against Honduras was so bad, he never did it again.
Like, right? Personnel choice at that point. But yeah.
And then the women. I mean, if you hire Emma Hayes, right, and you're U.S. Soccer, you're going to tell her how she can play. She has to play.
That's what she's going to do. Right up your face.
I know people are making fun of her for being fat, but I mean,
see now the only thing negative I've seen is when she wore that one outfit. I kind of looked like a muumuu. They're like, oh man, did somebody talk to her? I'm like, guys, who fucking cares?
I mean, my mom brought it up.
Yeah.
When I watched the game this weekend with them, she's like, wow, she's really let herself go. I'm like, yeah, a little. Yeah. I don't care. Is she a good coach? I don't care if she's fat. I'm fat. What do I care? I don't give a shit. But yeah, she used to be a fairly attractive woman. Not that she's not now. She's just less, I guess. I don't know. I'm fairly less attractive as a man with extra weight on. So I guess that, but more important than anything is she competent at her job. And yes, she is. With the women, it was listed as a 4-3-3 against Germany, but it certainly did not play that way. On the attack, it played like a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 at times. And on defense, it was a 4-4-2. So that's different. Like the women under Vlatko were like basically forced to play a 4-3-3 every game, regardless of the players available and what their strengths were. It was like a forced thing by U.S. Soccer and their whole jargon they put about the way we play. Here's the way we play. And this is what we're going to play and how we're going to play. And this is how it's going to look like. And every team's going to play exactly the same thing. They're all going to use the same system. I get it. You want some consistency, but the coaches, in the end, if you're Emma Hayes, no one's telling you how to coach your team. And I'm sure when she was hired, she said, you ain't telling me how to play. I'll play how I play. I'm an Emma Hayes. And otherwise, go off and hire somebody else. Because I could just go back to Europe and I'll have a job tomorrow, coaching club. Although Emma specifically was looking for a national team job. She has kids. A kid or kids. I don't know. Maybe more than one. And she likes the freedom of having breaks. I mean, being a national team coach is kind of cush. You're getting paid, but you only work every couple months, every few months, right? That's good shit.
Well, not the women's. I feel like the women's have games every 3 weeks.
Not that much.
I feel like, I mean, I feel like there's always upcoming games. Oh, the women's national team are playing New Zealand for the 6th time in 3 months and 2 weeks, type of thing.
And in the first game, Emma used a 4-2-3-1, which, yes, I get is an accepted standardization. You can get out of the 4-3-3, you can mix it into a 4-2-3-1. But really, we only saw that introduced for the most part by BJ. And then Greg kind of accepted it and used it a couple times. But Emma's doing whatever she wants. And I love that. And I love that the patterns of play aren't so goddamn predictable. That's the whole problem with the system, that we're watching from youth levels all the way up in both men and women. Now, the younger you got, the more freedom the player seems to play with, because younger players, obviously, U15s, U18s, U21s, yeah, they're going to play a little more freely regardless of what you tell them. But it was very obvious the patterns of play were set in stone for the most part. And if you deviated, you might get in trouble in some cases on some certain teams. Certainly, Vlatko was a big into that whole same system. This is the way we play. That's gone. It's gone, people, because Mitrovic could give two shits about that. He played the system against France, yes, but a little more defensively. Second game, no. New Zealand, the patterns of play were not predictable at all. And the patterns of play for Emma's team against Germany, not predictable. Totally way different than I've seen.
Well, and I think as far as the patterns of play, I think were predictable in a sense. So I felt that they still tried to get it out wide. But when they got it out wide, at that point, they couldn't do anything. They could have done anything at that point. And then all of a sudden they beat their man, whether it's like a 1-2 touch combination. And then, Trinity is like lacing a ball across the 18. But there's still some patterns there. But it's still, those players have a lot of creativity and freedom to do what they need to do, what they want to do at that point.
It just seems to me that the overloads came from players you wouldn't expect them to come from, usually. That's what I'm saying. Like, when we overloaded a side, like, it was a player you didn't expect to be part of the overload. And that was interesting and different. And I think that's good news, because not even Germany could figure it out. And we played a lot more quick transition ball, counter ball, when we got it. It's not exactly counter, but it's much more quick transitions, right? Than we're used to watching American teams play. And good on Emma. The defense for most of the game was pretty darn solid, although there were opportunities for Germany, but nothing really awesome at all. We were locked down. I can't remember the name of the center back in the middle of that back three.
I know very few names in that lineup, to tell you the truth, because I don't follow them that much, but I couldn't tell you. Nye says that only watched the first half. Haran was horrible.
Yeah, she had a really bad first half.
It wasn't a great game period for her.
No, she had a pretty rough game altogether.
It's like she was trying to create the chances, but every single thing was just giving the ball away in the end.
Right. The stars of that team were definitely Rodman, Smith, and Mallory Swanson. Yeah, absolutely the stars of that team for that game. Even the Milky player.
Yeah, it was Lavelle.
Lavelle, thank you.
Okay.
The Ice Princess.
I know you were talking about, yeah.
My parents were making fun of her for being so white. They're like, that's the whitest person I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, I think
he's a little bit of sun. I mean, she's out playing soccer. She should pick up some.
You thought she'd get a little tan, but I bet she just burns.
Like 50 at the beginning of the game, 50 at half, 50 at the end, just to walk out to the car.
Well, you got some of that heritage. You know how bad you can burn.
Oh, I never burnt during a game. During a game, no, never happened.
Yeah, but you're not as dark as I am.
Sure.
I mean, just look at our pictures right now.
Sure.
You're white, and I'm kind of red. Red looking. Anyhow, I don't burn. I just get browner and browner. All right. And also,
there you go.
She will go from pale to stage 4 melanoma.
Like that.
I mean, I couldn't remember her at first because they asked me, who's that player? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, my mom said, she's the whitest person I've ever seen. And I said, yeah. All right. Well, until I can remember her name, let's just call her the Ice Princess, or,
Umar's got the nickname already.
Rose Alabaster Lavelle. And by the way, she had some bad passes and bad moments in that game too, but she had some good ones as well. So
sure, well, it's not like you know, I mean, despite the scoreline and how well we played against Germany. I mean, it's not saying that Germany's an awful team. They're not playing well right now, from what I hear. Again, don't follow the women's game, so don't quote me on this. But I mean, they're still gonna, they're gonna miss passes. They're gonna make errant plays. Things are going to happen when you're playing one of the stronger teams, generally speaking.
Yeah, but I mean, not long ago, Germany would have probably won that game against.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that too.
Yeah, so this is a big change, and what's also good about it is a lot more young blood injected into that team. It was time to move on from some of the older players. It really was time, and I'm glad we've done it. Some of them retired. Some of them were left off. It was time to move on. And if Horan doesn't make a case for herself, she may be gone soon too, because that was poor. That was a poor game for her. I think she'll fix it. I did want to also comment on the U20s.
Sure.
All right. Because the U20s came out versus Costa Rica and played a 4-4-2. And I texted you and I said, holy ding shit. The U20s are playing a 4-4-2. Holy Christ. I thought you would love that, obviously.
Yeah.
You're a 4-4-2 guy. You're more of a 4-2-2-2 guy. But still, it was a 4-4-2. And I'm just blown away. And after, watching the Olympic team and the women's Olympic team, I was starting to think, what's going on here? Because for like the past 5 years, I've been watching our teams, women's, men, they all played the same fucking jackass, predictable patterns of play system. And it was so boring. And now we're watching soccer that's kind of fun to watch. And it's different. And I like it. And I'm embracing it. And it's much more palatable for the average fan as well. I can't tell you how many times my brother said, these guys, they're boring. And they don't know what to do in the final third. And I'm like, you're right. It's horrible. And then, versus Cuba, the U20s played a 4-2-3-1, which is basically acceptable. But versus Jamaica, we played a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-3, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, this is different. This isn't Berhalter ball anymore. Or if you want to call it Stewart/Berhalter ball. The style that all the teams have to play the same way. Yeah. No. I think it's gone.
Yeah.
I think it's gone.
Well, and Jeff makes the same point that I made on Twitter, I think, with one of your comments. I think it's possible that the board looks at with Ernie gone and with Greg gone, who are instrumental in making this system. I think after 5 years of watching stagnation and results, they got results, sure.
Constipation.
It's constipation, some stagnation and everything. That they're like, well, maybe this is, if we're finally at a time, maybe we just let the manager, especially since we're going to be trying to get this highly rated European manager, big name, not necessarily even European, but somebody who's in Europe right now. And we're trying to get this big name player. What are the odds that we can convince them to come over here for a buttload of money and play our system?
Right.
Maybe he's just going to come in and look at the players over and say, okay, this is the formation we're going to play. This is how it's going to best suit our players.
I'd love to find that tap. I would love to find that Tap Ramos interview after he resigned or was fired. I think he resigned. Where he talks about the fact that when Ernie came in and Greg came in, they basically sat his ass down and said, by the way, you need to live in Chicago now. And You have to play a 4-3-3, and you have to use this system. And Tab Ramos basically said, fuck off. I'm out of here. I'm fucking out of this joint.
Jeez.
Fuck you. That's not how soccer works. I'm not, becoming a soccer dogmatist where I'm just have this dogma I got to follow. No, I got to coach a team and lead a team based on who I got and what I think is going to work. This dogma horseshit is garbage. He didn't use the word dogma. I don't know what word he used, but I'm
I don't think he said dog shit either.
No, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, very loosely. But people don't know that existed. That was part of the system. That was the way we were going to play. That was all a part of the charter that U.S. Soccer rewrote when Ernie came on and Greg was there. They rewrote the charter of these are the things we're looking for from coaches, youth coaches coming in. That's why we had a hard time finding youth coaches. Nobody wanted to A, live in Chicago, and nobody, B, want to be told how to manage a fucking team. They were like being micromanaged from U.S. Soccer on how they're supposed to coach a team, how they're supposed to set up, what formations they're allowed to use. Fuck that shit. That's all crap. That's not how this should work. And that they should all use the same patterns of plays and systems. No, it's all gone now. It's pretty obvious it's all gone. This is a good thing for U.S. Soccer. Emma Hayes, I think, might be, the one of the reasons they had to let go of that, because I'm sure they didn't tell Emma Hayes how she had to coach the team when they hired her. That's the biggest, best women's coach in the world. I'm sure they didn't say, well, Emma, you are the best. Can you imagine bringing in Mourinho or Jurgen Klopp and telling them how they had to play the game?
Yeah, that's what point, right?
What a fucking joke that would be. So whoever the new coach is, somebody told me, well, whoever the new hire is, they're gonna push their influence and their technical and system thing down onto the youth teams. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't think that necessarily has to happen. In fact, if you hire Jurgen Klopp in this Disneyland world, for instance, for example, if that happened, I don't think Jurgen Klopp would give two fucks about the youth teams do. He would have a 2-year job. The only thing he would be focused on would be the World Cup and
this
the team.
26 in the World Cup.
Yes,
26. Yeah.
and the players available to him. He's not going to be involved in the technical development of the youth squads. I don't think he'd be interested in that. I don't think he'd want to do it. I don't think he cared about it. That's the only way he would come in, and he's not going to. Let's be really honest. So whoever comes in, I don't think is going to be asked to handle that overall technical development role. That is on Betty Crocker. And if Betty hires a good coach, I will stop calling him Betty Crocker. I promise.
That's what I said too. Like, yeah, man, if he does go out there and gets a highly rated manager to manage this for the next 2 years, he might just be referred to as Matt from now on.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'll listen, respect due. If you go out and do the job, he's already done one good job, right? He hired the best women's coach in the world, Emma Hayes. And if he can go out and do something similar or close to that, somebody I can, when I lay my head down at night and go to bed and think, yeah, that's a pretty good pick. That's all I need. I don't need, wow, I really wish that could have been a lot. I don't want to go to bed thinking, wow, that's a horrible pick. That's all I don't want to go to bed thinking. I don't want to go to bed thinking, oh, God, this is another Berhalter thing. I can't believe we're doing this. Just give me somebody I can have some faith in and some belief in going forward. All right, for the 345 of you who are here, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and tickle your stepsister. All right, just tickle her. Don't finger her, just tickle her.
Final quick topic of the night, Derek. It's only 3.5 hours into it.
Yep.
So this is a question from U.S. Soccer Corner on X.
Okay.
Who isn't necessarily established with the U.S. men's national team, but will absolutely be a part of the 2026 World Cup roster? was Tessman. So we talked about this briefly.
Yeah.
But why don't you think it's Tessman in this situation?
I mean, if there is going to be somebody, it might be Tessman. But honestly, when you've got Adams, McKennie, Johnny,
Luka,
Weston,
Reyna, Tillman,
Musa. Did I say Musa yet?
I don't know. You may have. Who knows? Who cares? Same. Cover them just in case.
It's an uphill battle for Tessman.
Absolutely.
To get in there. It's going to be a battle. There are only so many spots on the team. I don't know how many spots are going to be available in the next World Cup. I do not think it's going to be as many as before during the beer bug era. I hope it is. If it is, he might have a shot. But you were mentioning if he's a center back. I think, didn't Tack say that first though?
Yes, with Tessman, yes.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with him. But our big, yeah. I mean, center back. This is my point in that sense. As far as who's not necessarily established with them, but will be a part of it. It's going to be those spots that we're weak in depth.
Yeah,
we're weak in depth up at the winger spot. I mean, I know that we have Haji now, and we even have Sargent who can play there, but we're still weak as far as the depth as a whole. Maybe not necessarily there. I don't think anybody's going to take over any of those 4 spots really. We're weak at center back.
Yes.
We're weak at goalkeeper.
Yep.
That's going to be the big one that's not necessarily established that might contend for a roster spot.
And that's when you need to start considering a Tessman for center back or a Maloney for center back. Because the guys you got right now, one of them is like 82 years old, Tim Ream. And unless the new coach values John Brooks, and let's say John Brooks doesn't find a good team to play for. Well, I think he will. I think he'll be back in the Bundesliga next season.
Free agent. I mean, at this point, imagine he could go just about anywhere just as long as he takes a pay cut.
So, and he's much younger. He's like 5 years younger than Ream, so he should be fine. And if he's playing steadily and he's playing well, then you got John Brooks as an option. But listen, the other guys, Richards is still a guy in a development, and I hope he continues to do well and continues to grow, and I think he will. But outside, let's say it's, Ream's too old in 2026, so you got Brooks and Richards as your solid guys. Who's backing up those guys? Because I'm not a big believer right now in CCV. I'm not a big believer in
Mark
McKenzie and Trusty. I
need to see Trusty outside of his Sheffield United.
I'm not a detractor of them, but I'm not a big believer. So that's a different thing. And so if you can bring in a Maloney who played center back quite a bit through his youth career and coming up to Heidenheim, maybe that's worth looking at. And certainly I would not complain at all trying to get a guy like Tessman on the pitch. And I know people are saying Busio looked better in that game, but guess what? Through the whole season at Venezia, it's this guy, Tanner Tessman, who's the backbone of Venezia, not Busio. Busio did well, and he chipped in at times. And he scored some goals that were important. But he wasn't the backbone of that Venezia team. That was Tanner Tessman. And that's why teams like Inter Milan and Fiorentina are sniffing up Tessman's butthole. But nobody's sniffing Busio's butthole. Have you heard any Busio rumors? No. Did Busio have a great game? Yes. He was probably the best player on the pitch that day. No doubt about it. I'm not arguing that. But can Busio consistently do that? And can Busio stay healthy? That's another problem he's having. He has these niggling little injuries that keep him out 2 or 3 games at a time. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, even if let's say Adams goes out because he's never healthy anymore. If Adams does go out, then Maloney is the next one up anyways in that spot.
Chambers says Parma's looking at Busio. I don't think Busio's going anywhere. I don't think Venezia's ready to offload the biggest players that helped them get promoted yet. So I don't know if that'll happen. I'd be surprised if it happened. It would have to be big money. Let's just put it that way. for them to, sell any of the players that were critical people for them to get promoted. But anything's possible. So I will say that. It was Tessman that was the most pursued player. And we've been talking about this for months and months on end, actually. So this shouldn't be a surprise if you're watching this show.
I mentioned the big criticism for Tessman is that he's too slow. Like he's slow for the international game, et cetera, et cetera.
He's slow on the turn for sure.
Yeah. But there was a lot of talk of a lot of scouts throughout Italy that are highly praising him, and of course there's the talk of going to interns and that type of thing. Wouldn't have expressed any interest if he couldn't compete at that level. Now, I'm not saying he could compete for Inter by any means. I'm not saying that by that point, but I would think that if you have a specific coach, that wouldn't necessarily ask Tessman to really cover a ton of ground. I think he could be serviceable. And you'd have to pair him up in the midfield with people who do cover a lot of ground. Sure. He's not as mobile as Maloney. He's not mobile as Adams was.
Right.
So, just depends how you pair him up and what you're asking him to do.
Yeah, it really does. I'm not ready to commit to Tessman as a center back necessarily yet. I'd like to see it tested. Yeah. But because the dude can shoot from outside the box, and he proved that.
That's crazy talk. We can't accept that, Derek.
He proved that at Venezia. He can score goals. So, we'll see what happens there. Let's see how this next season develops. Let's put it this way. If Tessman goes out and he's a regular starter for Venezia and he continues to be one of the best players on their team and they finish mid-table and they compete all season long, then he has just as good a chance of making the team as, say, Luca De La Torre, honestly. He does. Because we don't know where Luca De La Torre is going to end up next season yet. We don't.
No.
We don't. So things can change. Tessman could become competition, but we also don't know who the new coach is. If that's Matarazzo, you could see Maloney being on the team because Matarazzo knows how valuable a guy like Maloney is to Heidenheim. He saw it with his own eyes twice last season. So it depends on all the coaches, and that will change everything about what their vision is for how they want to play. And as we've just discussed, it no longer needs to be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. You've got all kinds of other options available to you now. You could play a totally different way. You can move players around. So we'll see what happens. And but I don't think anybody's job is guaranteed for sure because we don't even know where McKennie's going. Shit, we thought he was going to Atlanta or Cincinnati or there's some weird shit going on, right?
Yeah. So I guess in order to answer his question, and not even focusing on Tessman at this point, because I don't think it's going to be Tessman, it's going to be the guarantee or absolute for the 2026. I think one of our young goalkeepers is going to overtake Johnson. And I don't think Johnson's going to be in the 2026 by any means, but
Turner.
Well, not even Turner, just part of the 26 roster is what he says here. I think somebody could compete against Turner 100%, unless Turner manages to get a loan or sold off this season. Forrest has already picked up a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, and so they're splitting time during the friendlies, and it's Belts gets the first half, and the other goalkeeper, not Turner, getting the second half.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? He's number 3. He's number 3.
He wasn't out playing Sells anyways.
He better
bring in a new goalkeeper. No, it's not going to happen.
He better go find a championship team.
Yeah,
because otherwise, Matt Turner is going to become the old Ethan Horvath. That's what he's going to become.
Yeah.
Forrest also going after Ramsdale. That seems excessive, but yeah.
How many goalkeepers do you really need to buy at that point?
Jesus Christ.
So I think obviously 2 years of development's going to aid in the decision moving forward who's going to compete for that first, second, and third goalkeeper spot. But it's highly possible that somebody like Schulte or Gaga could compete. Now Schulte's not necessarily putting up great performances in the Olympics for my taste, but he's made a couple great saves. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, goalkeeper. Yep, it's a bitch, isn't it? It's And this is weird for Brett and I, because throughout our whole U.S. soccer existence, going back 30 years or more, we never had a problem at goalkeeper. That was never a problem. Like, no one ever lost any sleep about goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. And now all of us are like, yeah, shit's bad. It's not good. That's the weakest position we've got. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Also, talking about this Olympic squad, the other big talking point is people wanting Paredes to go back to a wing back role instead of playing, or a back role instead of playing up in the wing spot. They're wanting to start testing that, and they're hoping Wolfsburg does that, which he did play a little bit back there.
Yeah, it was always wing back though, not like an honest to goodness left back. Well, we'll see. Listen, Paredes got a lot of things to work on. He's a young kid. He falls over easy, so he'll have to work on that too. But he's a small guy. That's it's another issue. Not that small guys like Messi. I mean, if you're Messi, being small doesn't matter. But
Messi has a better center of gravity than.
Oh, his center of gravity is so. It's a delicacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where Paredes needs to go next, is find a better center of gravity. And I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not sold on Paredes. I wish him the best, and I hope he'll work out. And I hope his next season at Wolfsburg, we see some real growth there. He's so young, it's hard to say what's going to happen with him. He probably will become a pretty, a standard sort of Bundesliga player for a team that needs that kind of speed or that kind of agility on a wing. I don't know if you can make him into a left back.
I mean, yeah, for Wolfsburg, he was serviceable and not standout though. Like, he was there and he did his job, but you're sitting there going like, I want to see it. Where's it at?
I know at the beginning of the season, he had some really good games. And you're like, wow, this is impressive. And then as the season went on, it was more kind of like, yeah, just kind of a passenger during the games. Not standing out, not doing anything that spectacular, but not being awful either. It just, yeah, it wasn't like those, I can't remember which game it was at the beginning of the season. But he had a few where you're like, wow, he played really well. I think he scored in one of them. And then it was just kind of like, after that. It was meh, M-E-H, meh, So we'll see. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't above meh. So that's where we're at now. All right, guys, it's been almost 3 hours. This is crazy. All right. We didn't want to go 3 hours. We didn't think we could go 3 hours, but here we are. 3 hours later, we want to thank you all. At one point, about 355 of you that were here. And we appreciate you joining us on this Monday night. Enjoy the games tomorrow. That's the 1 o'clock game and the 5 o'clock game. And then we'll be back on Thursday to talk about both of those games. So that should be fun. Until then, make sure you give your stepsister a big, deep, wet kiss before you go to bed. And we will be back on Thursday. Until then, good night. We love you.
That hurt.
And to me, it's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating because
multiple mental health clinicians said that Derek had limited intellectual ability and was not capable of consenting.
Congratulations. Boom.